What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 7 Light Years Chapter 151. Is it a big deal? The game is suspended indefinitely. How is it? Su Ying couldn't help being curious in her heart. Is this skill great? Show it to me. Next time. Chu Han prevaricated and then said seriously, besides Sanju, there are 2 other women from the Sakura country here, but unfortunately one of them ran away. It is basically certain that Hu Yuan died at the hands of these 2 people. After finishing speaking, Chu Han looked around, and there was no trace of Shi Chuangxing in the ancient forest. It is estimated that the moment Diablo Megara was defeated, she had already fled away. One escaped. Then, you caught the other one? Zhang Yi's voice came. He sat on Chu Han's shoulder and carefully wiped the Yaju sword, which was covered with a viscous liquid with a disgusting color. That's right, I grabbed one. Chu Han gave him a sideways glance as he spoke. Hey, can you stop rubbing against my clothes? At this time, there was movement in the forest, and Xiao Hei's figure appeared. It flew towards Chu Han with a Kata Wu in its mouth, spit a Kata Wu to the ground, and stepped on it. Everyone's eyes followed. I saw my Akata was dying, the black tights were covered with mud, many places were torn, and the delicate skin exposed was filthy. And that delicate and charming face has long since changed beyond recognition, covered with half-moon-shaped hoof prints. Chu Han twitched the corners of his mouth. He didn't know how many new tricks Xiao Hei played on this coquettish cherry blossom girl during the time he was guarding her. Fortunately, it's fine if you don't die. After all, there was still an interrogation session later, but Chu Han didn't intend to do it himself. Professional matters still have to be done by professional people. The Royal Knights have been fighting with the Holy Cherry Society for many years, and they should have a lot of experience in torturing prisoners and interrogating intelligence. This is one of the cherry blossom spies. Take it back to the guild. It can be regarded as an explanation for Hu Yuan's death. Zhang Yi glanced at it, then agreed. His plan from the beginning was to search the mountain to lure the snake out of the cave, so that the cherry blossom people could show their feet, so as to find out their purpose of coming here. But since he has already been captured alive, there is no need to be so troublesome, just go back and torture him directly. Anyway, in the Royal Knights, the Sakura people are all beasts who are hated by both humans and gods. To deal with them, any means of extermination can be used without any psychological burden. Such a delicate and weak woman is not afraid that she will not recruit. By the way, Chu Han suddenly remembered something, and reminded him, try not to be alone with her and don't look into her eyes. Her charm is very powerful, and it is difficult for male creatures to resist. After speaking, he looked at Xiao Hei intentionally or unintentionally and then got on the horse. Although Suyama was a very stupid plan, fortunately, the result was not bad. Not only did they find out the spies of Sakura, but they also captured one of them alive. In addition, they also beheaded a demon monk who had fallen into the devil's way here. The action was relatively complete. If you find any useful information, remember to notify me. After getting on the horse, Chu Han said. The so-called useful information is naturally about Sister Chu Shi. I know. Zhang Yi's voice came from Hao Yue's serious fur. Before he recovered his body shape, he jumped onto the wolf's back and sank directly into it. Chu Han turned his horse's head, then turned around and asked, how's your vice captain doing? Haven't you finished the 9th rank mission yet? The 9th rank mission is not that easy. Zhang Yi jumped onto the wolf's head and sat cross-legged. Don't worry, I will tell you as soon as I have news. Chu Han nodded, and left Ji Yulin. While riding Xiao Hei and flying over Shunlong Villa, Chu Han heard some noise on the ground. Looking down, he found that the villa was full of people. They stood in 2s and 3s arguing together, as if something big had happened. Moreover, there are still many people walking down the mountain in groups. Chu Han couldn't help frowning. What happened? All the way back to the hotel suite, opened the door, and saw 3 elders sitting upright, with Ni Li Juniper standing on both sides. The atmosphere is slightly dignified. The Zhenwu Grand Ceremony is suspended. When Chu Han walked over, Ni Chen said in a deep voice. Suspension? Chu Han was taken aback for a moment, and then remembered that many contestants were absent for no reason. Is it because of this? Reminiscing what happened to Sanju, other absentees, could it be that Sakura Kingdom is behind the scenes? Before Chu Han could ask a question, Ni Chen continued, you understand the situation of today's competition. Due to the large number of missing people on Guling Mountain, the authorities have lost control of the situation. 2 hours ago, the organizer of the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony issued a notice that the competition will be suspended indefinitely until the disappearance is resolved, and then the competition will resume in another day. Chu Han pondered for a moment, then asked, how many people are missing in total? Ni Chen said, the official count is 101 people. At this time, it has already attracted the attention of the Longwu department. A high-level military officer will be sent to Guling Mountain to investigate in person. This year's Zhenwu Grand Ceremony, I'm afraid it's going to be a mess. Ni Chen's face was gloomy. It was obvious that the suspension of the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony had hit him hard. It's true, after leading so many Zhenwu Grand Ceremonies, it's hard to expect my own grandson to participate, but it would be embarrassing for anyone to encounter such a thing. Originally, he expected his grandson Ni Li to win the championship, stand out among many young heroes, and become a blockbuster, but now it seems that he has no chance. The Zhenwu Grand Ceremony is held every 5 years, and the contestants are required to awaken and change jobs within 2 years. In other words, it is very lucky to be able to participate in the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony once. If you miss it, you will never have another chance. Thinking of this, Ni Chen was filled with anger. He wished he could personally catch the missing 101 people and finish the game with his grandson. 101 people, so many. Chu Han frowned slightly. If these people, like Sanju, ran to soccer a girl, whether they were coerced or voluntarily, they would be a potentially dangerous force. What if they all used that potion and turned into monsters? Thinking of that scene, Chu Han's scalp went numb. According to Zhang Yi, Sakura country is full of insane people, and they can definitely do this kind of thing. Just one Diablo Magala almost killed him, and 100 more just hit him with the head? However, Chu Han also understood that if that happened, it would no longer be his and Zhang Yi's business. The officials of Dongzhou City, the leaders of the major guilds, and the Longwu department will not sit idly by. Especially the Longwu department, they are in charge of the military of the Dragon Kingdom, and will also be responsible for some large-scale crimes in the territory. In a situation like Jiyu Lingshan, it is normal for them to intervene. In short, the matter has become a big deal now, and someone from the government will come forward to solve it, and Chu Han doesn't bother to worry about it so much. Now there are two most important things. One is the result of Akeda Wu's interrogation. She might be able to find out some clues about Chu Shi from her mouth. Of course, this Chu Han held a pessimistic attitude and didn't hold out much hope. What he was looking forward to more was the second one, which was the progress of Vice Captain Xu Xiying's rank 9. As long as she completes the 9th rank, she can enter the Council of Elders of the Royal Knights, and then no one can stop her from investigating the whole story of Chu Zai's disappearance. At this moment, it was getting late. Chu Han fell asleep after eating something. The continuous fighting during the day still made him feel like his bones were falling apart and his muscles were shattered. Although Su Ying's assistance made him temporarily lose the pain, the effect of her skills was more like a shot of adrenaline for himself. Now that the effect of the medicine wears off, the feeling of exhaustion is even stronger. Chu Han almost threw himself onto the bed and fell asleep as soon as he touched the pillow. The next day, at noon, what woke Chu Han up was the shrill ringing of the communicator. Why? After connecting, Chu Han rubbed his sleepy eyes and said impatiently. When he saw Zhang Yi's face on the virtual screen, he regained his energy in an instant. What did you ask? Not yet, but soon. Zhang Yi said, I'm looking for you today for another matter. Chu Han was slightly disappointed. What else? Insect King Chao Zhou, do you still remember? Zhang Yi reminded, I told you last time, the new #1 seed of the Royal Knights. Hearing this, Chu Han rolled his eyes. What about #1 and #2? The competition is gone, and this kind of thing is still left. Zhang Yi continued on his own. Chao Zhou has already come to Guling Mountain, but he heard that the game was suspended, so he asked me to tell you that he wanted to have a private discussion with you. You know, Chao Zhou has a very strong personality. I heard that you once gave Hu Yuan a second, so I became very interested in you. I'm not interested in him. Chu Han's mood faded, and the sleepiness returned, so he planned to hang up. Wait. Zhang Yi stopped him. My personal opinion, you should go and fight him. You know, Chao Zhou is the nephew of our president. He promised me that as long as you can defeat him, he will recommend you to join the Royal Knights. Chapter 152. There is also a gap between geniuses. When he heard the news for the first time, Chu Han refused in his heart. Because this thing sounds a bit nonsense. What does it mean to come to me for a discussion? That sounds nice. This Chao Zhou is nothing more than the son of a powerful family. Since there is no competition, he comes here to have fun. Chu Han didn't have time to play house with him. Besides, in this age, it is really immoral to be beaten and killed at every turn. A harmonious society pays attention to calmness. What is running to a private duel? What's in it for me? There won't be any cute little 36D princess who will treat you as a hero just because you won the battle, and won't marry you unless you are the one. If there is, go for it and forget it. The point is that if you don't have it, then don't talk about it. Just when he was about to refuse ruthlessly, he heard Zhang Yi say that that guy could recommend him to join the Royal Knights. Chu Han changed his mind instantly. If you can directly enter the Royal Knights through this competition, it will save a lot of trouble. It shouldn't be a problem for someone who is the president's nephew to join the guild. If what Zhang Yi said is true, then this bonus is much more attractive than the delicate 36D little princess. Okay, I'll fight him. Chu Han agreed immediately without much hesitation. Although Chu Han had been clamoring to join the Royal Knights before, sometimes he was unsure. After all, it is the leading guild in the Dragon Kingdom. Although the Church of Spiritual Cultivating is as famous as it will always be outnumbered in terms of hard power. Chu Han was not sure whether such a huge organization with top reputation and strength would allow him to join the organization just because he was Chu Zai's younger brother. But Chu Han was still confident about the president's nephew. 2 hours later, Chu Han arrived outside Shunlong Villa. Compared to yesterday, this place is much cleaner, with not many people visible anymore. Most of the participating guilds have left. After all, so many people have disappeared. If they stay, no one can be sure whether danger will befall them. Although Gulingshan has strengthened its guards and patrols, it cannot calm the panicked people. Those who have the courage to stay in Guling Mountain basically want to give it a try and see if they can take this opportunity to show their faces in front of the upcoming senior officers of the Longwu department. Even if you don't get people's appreciation, then in the future, you will know that you have fought side by side with the Longwu department, which will give you more face. Chu Han looked at the slightly desolate place and suddenly thought, how did the two Sakura girls kidnap hundreds of people without anyone noticing? Simply relying on Mai Ikeda's charm technique, then can she withstand the lust of hundreds of people? In Chu Han's mind, images could not help appearing. 100 big men who were in love with the charm surrounded the Ikeda dance troupe, and then one after another. No, there were more than just men among the missing people. He had confirmed this with Elder Ni Chen. Could it be that the escaped Ishikawa Hoshi had more terrifying methods? If not, then there are other Sakura spies who have sneaked in Guling Mountain. Just as he was thinking, a sound of footsteps came from beside him. Zhang Yi led the way, followed by another person. I saw that person's delicate face, fair skin, tall figure with 3 feet of black hair. He would be the focus of the crowd wherever he went. When Chu Han looked over, his heart skipped a beat, his eyes sparkled. Wait. No, didn't you say that Chao Zhou is the president's nephew? How could it be like this? Is this guy or girl? While he was wondering, a male and female boy came over, stood still in front of Chu Han, flicked his bangs on his forehead, and said in an extremely rough voice. You are Chu Han, right? I am Chao Zhou, known as the Bud King, Chao Zhou. There is no need to distinguish, it must be a man. With just this voice, I close my eyes, and I don't have the slightest doubt when you say that you are Li Kui, the Black Whirlwind. Chu Han's mood sank. What the hell was I expecting just now? He suppressed his small thoughts and shook hands with the other party. Well, the roughness of this palm is definitely a man's. It's a real hammer. Chu Han's mood faded. He glanced at Zhang Yi, who was gloating beside him, and said, You want to compete with me, how can you compare? Haha, you don't have to be nervous, I just want to simply compete with you in strength, and there is no personal grievance in it. Chao Zhou said with a wild smile. The corner of Chu Han's mouth twitched. Am I King nervous? I can't look directly at your face. Chao Zhou continued. I've heard of you. You killed an old evil god just after you changed your job. You stole the limelight. You really deserve to be Chu Zai's younger brother. Both of you siblings are unborn geniuses, there is no doubt about that. However, I have always firmly believed that there is a gap between geniuses. I came to you to prove this. In this Dragon Kingdom, I don't know how many so-called geniuses have been defeated by me. It is very necessary for me to fight you. Chu Han rolled his eyes, talking nonsense. After all, he came here to have fun. However, the final prize was what Chu Han wanted, and he didn't care that much about the other party's motives. That's right, there is a gap between geniuses, Chu Han said, then find a place to fight, and finish the job early. Okay, happy. Chao Zhou flicked his bangs. I've always been a fair person. If you beat me with rank 6 to rank 8, I should take care of you. How about this, let's go to the Xuanzi Group arena. You have fought there, are familiar with the environment, and can better display your strength. Moreover, there is a protective barrier on the arena, which will not hurt your life. After finishing speaking, Chao Zhou suddenly moved his face closer to Chu Han, and whispered, just a friendly reminder, I'm going crazy, but I can't control it. Chu Han was silent for a while. It's not that he's speechless at his arrogance, but Chao Zhou's body smells so damn good. The facial features are exquisite, the skin is delicate, and there is an exciting perfume smell on the body. This guy just raises himself as a girl, right? No, don't be fooled by this despicable man. Taking a deep breath, Chu Han stabilized his mind, and began to imagine that standing opposite him was Black Whirlwind Li Kui. Let's go to the ring. On the top of Guling Mountain, the 5 arenas still stood there, but they looked lonely at this moment. The spectator seats that were originally full were empty, and Chu Han and the 3 walked over, even faintly hearing echoes. The 3 of them were speechless all the way, and walked directly to the arena of the Xuanzi Group, but unexpectedly discovered that the arena had been replaced with a protective barrier. Neither Chu Han nor Chao Zhou, who were contestants, could enter. It must be during the off-season. The officials are not allowed to use the ring without permission. Chu Han turned to look at Chao Zhou. Let's change the place. No need. Chao Zhou blew his bangs. I'll go to the official to borrow the ring. I still have some faith in the Royal Knights. Chapter 153 Chu Han's face must be given. On the west side of Guling Mountain, facing Shunlong Villa, is a magnificent palace. The organizers of the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony, including the invited official leaders of Dongzhou City, are temporarily working here. On the left side of the main hall, in a side hall called Wu Lu Hall, there are faint voices of wailing and cursing. Jiyu Chongshan, the referee of the Xuanzi Group, leaned in front of the table, grasping his gray hair with both hands, his face extremely ferocious. Not long ago, Gu Chongshan received a notice from the finance department, saying that the repair cost of the Schwanzi Group ring was too much over budget, and he could only reimburse 10% of the 3 million he had put in advance. Moreover, this 10% has to wait until the game resumes and report after the entire schedule is over. The remaining 90% can only be shared by Gu Chongshan's personal and logistics department. There is no way, although the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony is an official event of the Dragon Kingdom, the overall planning and holding have been outsourced to the Star Enterprise of Dongzhou City, Shengxi Group. After all, it is a private company. Although it has a good reputation outside, it is not uncommon for internal pressure to be suppressed. This is not the first time this kind of thing happened. Gu Chongshan just endured it for his own job. But the logistics department also used over budget as an excuse, and refused to share the remaining 90% of the cost, only willing to spend 300,000. This angered Gu Chongshan, so he went directly to the Shenji Hall, where the logistics department was located, and talked to their ministers. As a result, the minister said that you, Gu Chongshan, as the referee on the spot, should keep your eyes open and control the battle situation flexibly. When you notice that a player is about to cause extensive damage to the ring, you must suspend the game in time to avoid losses. The arena was blown up. You, Gu Chongshan, should take full responsibility. Think about it as a colleague. Our logistics department paid 300,000 yuan out of our own pockets. It's already the best of benevolence. How can you push an inch? Gu Chongshan was speechless after a slap in the face, so he could only go back to Wulu Hall in despair. Originally there were colleagues around, but he still tried his best to act calm and indifferent. It's just over 2 million yuan, and the old man doesn't even blink his eyes. But when all his colleagues left, he couldn't hold back any longer, and just lay on the table and howled continuously, cursing the finance department, the logistics department, including Sanju who destroyed the ring and Chu Han's ancestors for the 18th generation. Look at the miserable appearance. It is true that those who hear it are sad and those who see it cry. While cursing, suddenly footsteps came from behind. Gu Chongshan stopped his voice immediately after hearing it, and sat up straight. Excuse me, is Mr. Gu Chongshan, the referee of the Schwanzi Group? A rough voice sounded, and Gu Chongshan was still secretly wiping away his tears without turning his head, but from the sound of the voice, it should be a rough man with a beard. It's me. What's the matter with you? Gu Chongshan pretended to be cold, so as not to be heard crying by the other party. I'm under the Royal Knights, Xiao Zhou, and I want to use the Schwanzi Group ring with my husband. Xiao Zhou's words were decent and self-cultivated, but he still couldn't hide his arrogance. After he finished speaking, he glanced at Chu Han and Zhang Yi triumphantly. That means look at it, there is nothing that brother can't settle. Nonsense. Unexpectedly, Gu Chongshan directly refused, even a little angry. Don't you know that the competition has been suspended? Can you enter the ring casually? If you break it, you can afford it? It's so interesting. I just got angry because of the ring, and now someone is coming to fight for the ring. These bastards, they have to squeeze the old man's fortune before they stop. Xiao Zhou was taken aback when he came up, but he didn't have any emotional fluctuations. He still smiled gently and said in a rough voice that was completely different from his appearance. Sorry, I originally wanted my uncle, President Yin Kai, to come and borrow from you in person, but I thought it was not a big deal and there was no need to bother his old man, so I came here rashly. The meaning is very clear. My uncle is the president of the Royal Knights. It is your honor to borrow the ring from you. If you dare to say no, I will ask my uncle to beat you. In fact, having said that, it is not a big deal to open up the arena privately for others to use. Even though it violates the rules, no one will pursue it. As a referee, Gu Chongshan fully has this privilege. What's more, it is a member of the Royal Knights. This face should be given or given. But because of the destruction of the ring just now, he was greatly wronged, and the tears have not been wiped away until now. How can you agree to such a request when you are at the top? I said that if I don't borrow it, I won't borrow it. You can let Yin Kai come by yourself. If you can step into the ring, you are capable of the Royal Knights. Xiao Zhou was completely dumbfounded. Sesame is a big deal. Why is this old thing so angry like being stepped on its tail? It's not even easy to move my uncle out, right? He looked up, but the other party kept his back to his body, rubbing his hands on his face, not knowing what he was doing. Could it be that his beard is crooked with anger? Damn, he was angry, and I was still angry. Xiao Zhou was so angry that his face turned red, but he had no better way. Usually when he mentioned his uncle's name outside, who wouldn't be polite to him, so why couldn't he did today? There was no other way, so Xiao Zhou had no choice but to turn his head and wink at Chu Han. That means, my royal knights are dead, it's time for you to join the spiritual church, and the two major guilds will put pressure together, so I don't believe that this old thing is uncompromising. Chu Han shrugged his shoulders and spread his hands. It's not good for you to bring out the head of your own family. What's the use of me, a little karami who has no position? It would be easy for you to let me blast him to death with a forbidden curse, but it's really not good to talk about it. Sorry, I originally wanted my master, President Yao Shengyu, to come and borrow it from you in person, but I thought that the matter was not serious and there was no need to bother him, so I came here rashly. Chu Han. Xiao Zhou continued to wink. The one on the left looks 15 or 16 years old, with a relaxed expression, as if nothing has anything to do with me. Enemies are extremely jealous when they meet. Of course I remember. Why didn't you tell me earlier that Chu Han wanted to use the arena? If you had told me earlier, there wouldn't have been so many misunderstandings. It's me. Chu Han scratched his head, a little confused. Oh yes, I am also a contestant in the Xuanzi group. You should have an impression of me, right? The culprit who caused him to lose more than 2 million yuan was here. Jiyu Changshan jumped directly in front of the three of them, his teeth chattering. Angry to the extreme, Jiyu Changshan calmed down. I've said that I will not borrow, you will never end. At this moment, Jiyu Changshan finally wiped away his tears and turned around abruptly. Immediately, Jiyu Changshan waved his hand. Chu Han must be given face. You can use the Xuanzi group arena. I will close the barrier and let you in. But the matter has come to this point, he had no choice but to bite the bullet and take a step forward, and said imitatively. Chu Han didn't understand what it meant. What came into view were three young figures. Finally looking to the right, Jiyu Changshan suddenly stood up. You, Chu Han? In the middle is a girl with fair skin, good looks, and a tall figure. She looks pretty good, but her breasts are a bit flat. Haha, that's so King awesome. I dream about you every day now. Chapter 154 Xuanzi Group Arena, Chu Han vs Chao Zhou. As the organizer of the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony, Jiyu Changshan usually pays the most attention to those young people who are capable and have just awakened. The Worm King, Chao Zhou, was definitely the top group among the younger generation. Even San Zhu and Chu Han, who are in the limelight, are slightly inferior. At the age of 19, with 8 jobs in both jobs, this may be an achievement that many people will never be able to achieve in their entire lives. So when Chao Zhou returned to the competition and replaced the original #1 seed, almost all insiders believed that the Royal Knights were going to win the championship again. Unfortunately, the game was immediately suspended indefinitely. Watching the three young men leave the Wulu Hall, the smile on Jiyu Changshan's face disappeared, and his complexion gradually became gloomy. Although he didn't know why Chu Han challenged Chao Zhou, he could be sure that Chu Han was definitely not his opponent. He will be defeated by Chao Zhou. So, just take advantage of their fight and close the protective barrier secretly. Chu Han will die. This is the price that caused me to lose more than 2 million yuan. No, not only more than 2 million, but also the bet on the game. As long as Chu Han was late and sentenced to lose in that match, he could collect 96 million wildly, but he showed up in time, which ruined the good thing. Add it all together, it's more than 98 million. Jiyu Changshan even forgot that he also had a part in destroying the 3 bamboos in the ring, and put all the hatred on Chu Han. On the other side, the Xuanzi Group Arena. Along the way, Chao Zhou kept sneaking glances at Chu Han. He really couldn't figure out why that old guy didn't even give face to the presidents of the 2 top guilds in Longguo, but after seeing Chu Han, he agreed to borrow the ring. What is the background of this kid? Could it be that he is Jiyu Changshan's son-in-law? I never heard that Chu Han is married. Can't figure it out, really can't figure it out. Chao Zhou can't help but have a headache. Call out. When the two reached the edge of the ring, the protective barrier instantly faded and then disappeared. Seeing this, Chu Han stepped onto the stage first, followed by Chao Zhou. The two stood still on the stage, and the barrier reappeared. Don't forget your promise. If you lose, you will drag me into the Royal Knights. The two stood facing each other, Chu Han said lightly. Chao Zhou shook his head and smiled. Why, did the Spiritual Cultivation Church treat you badly and join us in such a hurry? You don't need to ask, you just keep your promise. I'm afraid I won't have this chance. Chao Zhou flashed a silver giant sword in his hand, and slashed down in the air. The speed was not very fast. Chu Han dodged and dodged. Boom. Where he was standing, a gully immediately appeared. Samsara whispers. Chu Han looked stern, and first threw out a dark forbidden spell, intending to test the opponent's strength. I heard Su Ying mention it before, this person is very strong, even Zhang Yi is not his opponent. Although Zhang Yi insisted that he was 50-50 with him, that was already an admission of defeat for the always proud Yishan. The black mist floated out from the palm of his hand. Chao Zhou noticed it immediately, and swung his sword to chop it off. But the black mist has no substance, the blade passes through and continues to float forward. Chao Zhou withdrew his sword and retreated, and immediately distanced himself from Chu Han. The arena was spacious, and he quickly withdrew more than 100 meters. Seeing this, Chu Han ran after him. Chao Zhou sneered inwardly. If a mage dares to chase the knight like this, the black mist must have an overwhelming effect. Moreover, seeing that Chu Han was eager to get closer to him, it meant that the current distance was beyond the attack range of the black mist. Keep it up. After making up his mind, Chao Zhou continued to retreat, keeping a distance of nearly 100 meters from Chu Han all the time, preventing him from getting close. It's funny to say that a knight was worried about being approached by a mage, and if it spread, he would be ashamed. However, although Chao Zhou was proud, he was not stupid. As long as it was what the enemy wanted, it would definitely be bad for him. So he will never let Chu Han approach him. As long as the wisp of black mist is still there, even if he escapes until dark, he will never let the other party come within 100 meters of him. When are you going to run away? Chu Han was a little annoyed. Just give me a second and it's over. Run away with the hammer? The classic combo dictatorship field plus reincarnation whispers is to be released at the same time. And now I have used the whisper of reincarnation first. During the chanting period, I cannot release other skills. Chu Han's arm trembled, and the black mist dissipated immediately. After Xiao Zhou saw it in the distance, he stopped and stopped running. It's not wise for you to give up this move. Without its restrictions, I will fight back. It's not your turn, dictatorial domain. Chu Han leapt forward with his arms outstretched, and the boundless ice world descended from the sky. Clap. Above the arena, the 0-degree ice spread all around in an instant. Xiao Zhou backed up again and again, but his speed was still a bit short, and he was trapped in the ice. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Chu Han made another move. He spread his hands on both sides of his body, controlling the fire with one hand and controlling the thunder with the other. Purgatory Calamity. Nirvana Thunder. The two forbidden spells were released at the same time. The holy fire and the sky thunder collided into space, bursting out a destructive aura that burned the void. Fire and thunder came together, sweeping towards the frozen Xiao Zhou, releasing the dual-line forbidden spell with all its strength, plus 5 times the damage-absorbing effect, immediately dealt tons of damage. Minus 21,358,124 minus 19,873,592 minus 23,157,864. Several blood-red damage values floated up, making Xiao Zhou's heart skip a beat. In the ice layer, he still maintained the posture of holding the sword with both hands. Suddenly, bursts of brilliance burst out from the edge of the sword, like a bright moon, dazzling. The moment the light shot to the surroundings, the ice layer that sealed Xiao Zhou also began to burst into cracks, and then exploded. Seeing this scene, Chu Han shook his head helplessly and sighed. The frequency of his ice world being broken free was getting higher and higher. He was really speechless. But there is no way, after all, I only have rank 6, facing these professionals whose level is far higher than myself, and the magic immunity is ridiculously high. There is really nothing to do. Fortunately, Chu Han also anticipated this situation. Unexpectedly, he could bring himself such a big surprise. To tell you the truth, my second job is much stronger than my first job, and then you'll know why I'm called the Bug King, Xiao Zhou. It's normal for him to behave like this. So after trapping Xiao Zhou, he didn't choose to whisper in reincarnation, but used the two forbidden spells of fire and thunder to force the damage. On the other side, while Xiao Zhou was breaking free from control, the brilliance on the blade began to flow, wrapping tightly around his body, forming a layer of silver light shield. You have to know that the person standing in front of me now is a top genius who killed the old evil gods just after changing jobs. If he didn't have any strength, he wouldn't be regarded as the #1 seed by the Spiritual Cultivation Church. However, he quickly calmed down. With that said, Xiao Zhou waved one arm, and a crazy light flashed in his expression. The 8th-rank knight, the guardian of the moon god, was almost overwhelmed by a 6th-rank mage. You really surprised me, Chu Han. Xiao Zhou put away his weapon and suddenly smiled. You also surprised me. Chu Han has never been inferior in the aspect of pretending to be coercive. It is rare to see someone who can stand in front of me for so long. Things seem to be getting interesting. Originally, Xiao Zhou heard that Chu Han had beaten Hu Yuan as the captain, so he had always wanted to meet this talented young man. Haha, I like your arrogance. Although Xiao Zhou put away his weapon, the fighting spirit in his eyes was even stronger. The follow-up damage of Purgatory Calamity and Nirvana Thunder dropped sharply, but even so, Xiao Zhou's blood volume was cut by 4/5. Come out, Void Swarm. The result is not bad, at least the damage is enough to see. What an outrageous injury. Xiao Zhou's delicate and elegant face was full of disbelief. Chapter 155. Forbidden Curse of the Poison System, Seal of Hades. Xiao Zhou obtained a second job through hidden missions, rank 8 Summoner, Lord of the Swarm. Under Xiao Zhou's orders, countless black and purple wormholes slowly opened in the Xuanzi Group arena. Immediately afterwards, endless swarms of void insects emerged from it, filling up the space in an instant. And those so-called insect swarms are all vicious and ugly, with mouthparts like a meat grinder, constantly spewing green-brown mucus, smearing on the carapaces of the surrounding companions. The countless armored giant worms were almost glued together by the green slime, turning into a whole lump. In addition, these worms are huge in size, and every detail of their hideous appearance can be seen very clearly. Chu Han's scalp was numb for a while. He was at a loss, and was overwhelmed by insects. He quickly flew into the air, and couldn't help but spray directly. Can't you King summon less? There's nowhere to stand, hey. Ha ha ha. In the vast swarm of worms, Xiao Zhou could no longer be seen. He hid in the center of the swarm, and even his laughter echoed. It's impossible to summon less. The whole family just wants to come out neatly. Chu Han, don't blame me for not reminding you. My bug fighting power is very high. The combat power is very high, right? Chu Han looked down from the sky. It's a pity, they will be mine soon. The God King is coming. In an instant, a huge aura burst out suddenly, and the power that directly hit the soul poured out like a waterfall. Your worm is fine, but will soon be at my beck and call. There was a sneer on the corner of Chu Han's mouth, and he immediately gave an order. Kongbao, listen to the order, kill him. Not a single insect moved, and the air was very quiet. Chu Han froze in midair, suddenly wanting to find a crack to get in. Ha 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 ha. In the end, it was Chao Zhou's rough ridicule that broke the ice. It's useless, Chu Han. This move of yours should be the same one you used to subdue Hu Yuan and the others, right? I heard from the #1 seed before that it seems to be a mind control skill. It is indeed very powerful, but it is of no use to my bugs. Because my worms have no self-awareness, they are directly controlled by me, and when surrounded by them, they will form a defense, and any skills will not affect me, unless you have the ability to kill all my worms, otherwise, admit defeat. Damn it, explaining one's professional characteristics on the spot during a battle, how disrespectful is that? Damn it, Queen of Insects, right? Chu Han gritted his teeth, then I'll kill them all for you to see, the natural disaster of Purgatory. The burning flames came again, covering the entire arena and swallowing up all the insects. Boom. The flames dissipated and Chu Han looked down. I saw that the insect swarm that originally covered the arena had a gap, and the insect swarm was reduced to ashes. The effect is not bad, although not all of them were killed instantly, it was just a matter of throwing a few more forbidden spells. Come again. Chu Han was just about to repeat his old trick, preparing to burn the insect swarm, but he saw the gap that had just been burned, and another insect swarm was born to fill it. My mother, Yali. Chu Han was shocked. Where did this come from? Those wormholes have obviously disappeared, why can they still summon new swarms of worms? The next moment, Chu Han had the answer, because he saw that the armored giant insects on the ground almost all had huge eggs hanging on their carapaces, and the green slime was the best nutrition for the eggs. After absorbing the mucus, the eggs hatch at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then grow into a new armored giant insect. As for where the eggs came from, Chu Han also saw clearly. In the insect swarm, there were many giant insects in pairs, making indescribable movements in broad daylight. Each time the male thrusts deeply, the female sprays out a large number of eggs that stick to the shell of her partner. At the same time, their mouthparts continue to spit mucus to provide nutrients to the eggs and accelerate their hatching. F***K. Chu Han was dumbfounded. Why do insects have to do this to reproduce? At this time, he suddenly remembered what Chao Zhou had just said. My bugs have no self-awareness and are directly controlled by me. The co-writing is all a good show directed by this guy. The muscles on Chu Han's face trembled uncontrollably. Give me the F***K. Enough is enough. The natural disaster of Purgatory. After several consecutive fire-type forbidden spells fell, the number of insect swarms did not decrease but increased. It's so F***king born. Chu Han has one head and two big ones, and he found that the newborn swarms have much stronger defense than those that come out of the wormhole, and some of them can't even drop a forbidden curse. Chu Han was in despair, he could only watch more and more bugs piled up on top of each other, soon reaching his own height. At the same time, under the ring, Zhang Yi lay lazily on the back of the silver wolf, and almost fell asleep. And not far from him, a figure quietly appeared, secretly looking at the situation on the ring. Jiyu Changshan has already taken this opportunity to turn off the protective barrier of the Xuanzi Group arena. He smiled sadly. Chao Zhou had already shown his true strength. Chu Han, you just wait to die. On the arena, Chao Zhou controlled the swarm of insects and rattled them, and when he felt that he had enough insect soldiers, he launched a general attack. The jumping ability of the armored giant insects was astonishing. They could easily approach Chu Han in midair and then use their sharp sickle claws to strike towards him. Some insects bite directly with their mouthparts, and some spray venom. In short, the attack methods are different. Chu Han dodged continuously, and then cast the forbidden curse to clear the monsters. At this time, he also saw that when the swarm iterated, the attributes would become stronger and stronger. He seemed to be enjoying the killing now, but in fact it was useless. As long as he can't touch Chao Zhou, if he continues to fight like this, he will either run out of energy, or the swarm will grow to the point where he can't fight against him. No matter what, you lose. This is not going to work, we must use ideas and wisdom. By the way, you can use this trick. After clearing a few waves of monsters, Chu Han suddenly remembered that he still had a poison-type forbidden spell on him. Skill. Pluto Seal. Active, Poisonous Curse. Mark the enemy unit. When the unit dies, it will produce an explosion effect, and the mark will be transmitted to the surrounding enemies, and cause real damage. The damage value is the total value of the damage received during the period when the exploding unit is marked. Every time the infection explodes, the settlement damage increased by 10%. The corpse explosion effect is simply tailor-made for you, Chao Zhou. Let's see if it's you who gave birth faster, or I who exploded faster. After a brief look, the swarm is roughly divided into 3 waves. One of the waves is the battle swarm, which is constantly attacking itself. The other big wave was the swarm of guarding insects, which surrounded Chao Zhou and swore to guard the Queen of Insects. And there is a small wave that is secretly engaging in pornography. They're doing the most primitive and happiest things, multiplying and multiplying, creating small lives with great joy. With an idea in mind, Chu Han ignored the bugs jumping in the air and dived directly to the ground. Soon, he was close to where Queen Xiao Zhou was. Have you changed your tactics? Sensing Chu Han's movement, Xiao Zhou's voice came from the gap in the swarm, a friendly reminder. The worms guarding me have the strongest fighting power, you'd better not approach easily. Thank you for the reminder. When Chu Han was about to approach the guarding swarm, he stopped abruptly and kept a distance of tens of meters. At this moment, he still kept a distance of more than 30 meters from him, giving Xiao Zhou the illusion that he didn't dare to approach. Countless explosions sounded, and the swarm of guarding insects immediately blasted a gap, and the gap spread at an unstoppable speed. However, the next moment, his face changed drastically. Chu Han didn't hesitate. The black mist emerged from his palm and floated towards the marked armored giant worm. With victory in sight, Chu Han stood there and stretched. However, the spread of the explosion became wider and wider, and the approaching insect swarm exploded in an instant, and then spread to the rear. The guard bug swarm was instantly killed. The moment it fell to the ground, the body exploded, and countless black skull marks splashed out. In an instant, the large guard bug swarm around it were all imprinted with the seal of Hades and received an equal amount of real damage. Harm. Puff. Puff. As for the black mist, Xiao Zhou didn't care at all. With layers of guards and bugs protecting it, no skill could enter it. Xiao Zhou panicked immediately, and at the critical moment, he hurriedly mobilized all the insect swarms present, trying to close the gap. On the outside, Chu Han frantically flung his skills, and the battling swarm that rushed up became more and more difficult to kill. Now it is unknown how many generations it has multiplied, and the attributes have already made a qualitative leap. It's over. Chu Han twisted his neck, and within a few seconds, the Pluto seal would be transmitted to Xiao Zhou. At that time, he would also be seconds away, and then teleported to the bottom of the ring. The imprint of the gloomy black light, like a smiling face, also looks like a skull. Casually cast a forbidden curse to kill the swarm of bugs chasing after him. Without hesitation, Chu Han threw the Pluto seal directly on the face of one of the guarding swarm. Soon, 20 seconds is up. Xiao Zhou, who was hiding under the only swarm of insects left, had a confused expression on his face. He hadn't figured out what happened, but the explosion was almost contagious to himself. -9,999,999,999,999 because he saw that the protective barrier that was originally standing on the edge of the ring, which could protect people from death, had disappeared. Chapter 156 Ascension to the Rank of God, the only way for the Royal Knights. Xiao Zhou turned pale with shock, his expression changed drastically, and he no longer had the arrogance and confidence he had before. The corpse explosion of the swarm spread very fast. It was too late to disperse the swarm at this time, and the arena was so big in total, where else could they hide? In the blink of an eye, the corpse explosion was about to affect him. Under the inevitable situation, Xiao Zhou gave up in his heart. At this time, the swarm of insects around him not only lost their protective effect, but also became the fuse to lead the corpse explosion to him. This is an unbreakable deadlock. Everything happened in a blink of an eye, and Xiao Zhou was ready to be teleported off the ring. Dictatorship field. At this moment, Chu Han volleyed down from the sky, shouted violently, and the boundless ice world descended again. Click. The remaining insect swarms, together with their master, Xiao Zhou, were sealed in an ice coffin. Without the barrier, even Zhang Yi, who was sleeping soundly under the arena, could not escape the fate of being frozen. Xiao Zhou's expression was frozen, full of astonishment and unwillingness. Chu Han is clearly winning, why should he freeze me? Is it trying to tell me that there's more than one way he can beat me? So insulting. How could the noble and talented young master have ever suffered such aggrievedness, and his chest was filled with anger and furious. Snapped. Breaking free from the ice, Xiao Zhou once again showed his giant sword, pointing at Chu Han and preparing to curse. Unexpectedly, Chu Han rushed over directly, grabbed himself and ran away. It happened suddenly. Xiao Zhou was in the dark for a moment. When he reacted, he had already been brought under the ring by Chu Han. Throwing Xiao Zhou aside, Chu Han secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had to admit that he had a bit of a gamble in the method of saving Xiao Zhou just now. Fortunately, he made the right bet. The domain of dictatorship can temporarily stop the spread of corpse explosions. Moreover, with Xiao Zhou's high magic immunity, he could break free from the control of the ice world in advance, so that he could lead him away from the swarm. If it weren't for this, Xiao Zhou would be hard to save even if he was a god. Puff. Puff. At this time, the ice layer disappeared, and the insect swarm that had been given the effect of Pluto seal continued to explode, and in a blink of an eye, the entire army was wiped out. And Xiao Zhou was already dumbfounded. Why is this happening? In front of him, the arena of the Xuanzi group had become bare, and the protective barrier that stood around it had long since disappeared. In other words, if Chu Han hadn't frozen the swarm just now, and then took himself out of the ring, then his current ending would be the same as those swarms, being blown to pieces all over the ground. Chu Han saved my life. At this time, Zhang Yi woke up in a daze, sat on the back of Silver Wolf, and looked at the two of them in confusion. What happened? Chu Han looked at the arena thoughtfully, and said with a faint smile, "It's fine." Then he turned to look at Xiao Zhou. "Do you still remember my promise? Do I need to remind you?" Xiao Zhou was speechless, and a trace of panic flashed in his expression. Although he didn't say anything, he could tell from his demeanor. "No way." Zhang Yi leaned over excitedly. "Master Qiao, you won't break your promise?" Xiao Zhou gritted his teeth hard, regretting that he shouldn't have opened his mouth and made a promise in order to discuss with Chu Han. The royal knights strictly control the internal affairs of the guild, especially their relatives of the royal family, and they are not allowed to override it at will. This was what the chairman Yin Kai had personally warned him about. Ordinarily, it is not a big deal to recruit someone into the guild, and the other party is the younger brother of an elite member of his own family. The difficulty was that Chu Han's level and occupation did not meet the recruitment criteria. If you forcibly drag him into the guild, it would be a violation of the guild regulations. In addition, as the nephew of the guild president, he has a sensitive status. If someone with ulterior motives will catch him, no matter how small a thing is, it will be magnified infinitely. Xiao Zhou has seen how cruel the elders of the Presbyterian Church are. If they really get into trouble, even his uncle, who is the president of the Presbyterian Church, will not be able to deal with it. "I'm sorry, I can't drag you into the guild." Xiao Zhou said this with difficulty. He was so ashamed that even his voice became less rough. Originally, he was full of confidence and felt that with his own strength, it was impossible to deal with even a 6th-level mage. After all, since his awakening and career change, he has almost found no match among his peers. As time went by, he felt that the people in the guild did not dare to fight him, so Xiao Zhou went out to travel, looking for people to compare with while leveling up, but the result was still the same, and he was not defeated. Later, he got lucky, received a hidden mission, obtained a second career, and his strength made a qualitative leap. Before fighting Chu Han, he never thought about the possibility of losing. And now, Xiao Zhou not only lost, but was also saved by Chu Han. Thinking of his inability to fulfill his promise, Xiao Zhou was so ashamed and angry that he wanted to die, so that he had no time to think about why the protective barrier just disappeared for no reason. Hearing Xiao Zhou's words, Chu Han didn't say anything, but he was inevitably a little disappointed. Being cheated once is not a big deal. The key is, judging from Xiao Zhou's appearance, he really can't get himself into the guild. Even the president's nephew can't help it, so how difficult is it to get into the Royal Knights? If he can't get in, how can he investigate his sister's affairs? Can he only wait for the deputy captain Xu Xiying? Are you kidding me? Zhang Yi lost his temper and grabbed Xiao Zhou's collar without caring about his identity. In order to protect the future captain he believed to be the very reliable wing god also worked hard. Insect King Xiao Zhou, the dignified eldest son of the Qiao family, doesn't even understand the principle of being willing to accept defeat. Xiao Zhou let him catch him and did not resist. "It's not that I don't want to, it's mainly that Chu Han's level and profession are not suitable. I really can't help it." Class and occupation. Hearing this, Zhang Yi's expression softened a little. "You mean, as long as Chu Han's level and profession match, you can drag him in?" "Of course." Xiao Zhou nodded immediately, "But you still have to go through the steps to become a god. This is a necessary procedure." "Then why the hell do you need me?" Zhang Yi was angry again. "It's just because it's hard to reach the rank of god that I want to use your back door." "Take my back door?" Xiao Zhou subconsciously covered his buttocks, and then instantly realized that he was thinking wrongly, so he quickly explained. "You haven't been in the guild for a long time, so you should understand these rules. Passing the rank of god is a necessary test to become an internal member of the Royal Knights. Unless Chu Han just wants to be an ordinary peripheral member, that's easy. You can join at any time." Xiao Zhou quickly tidied up his appearance. If he hadn't felt guilty, he would have started fighting with Zhang Yi. Xiao Zhou agreed without even thinking about it. He didn't even ask about his rank, which shows that his family background is indeed deep. "That's no problem." Xiao Zhou agreed immediately. "What method?" Xiao Zhou covered his butt again without leaving any trace. "But having said that, I am now level 242, and the potions used to upgrade to level 300 are not a small sum of money." He is the first one who dares to pluck his own collar. When Chu Han heard this, he couldn't help but smile. This kid Zhang Yi is really smart. He knows that he has a forbidden magic stone on his body, and as long as he reaches level 300, he can become a knight. Since your family is rich, don't blame your brothers for tricking you. Did he not think about the backdoor thing? The experience potion is very precious and can be said to be the rarest of all props, but for Xiao Zhou, it is still easy to handle. "Besides, can you do me one more favor?" Chu Han said in time, with a warm smile. The internal members of the Royal Knights are elite backbones like Chu Shi and Zhang Yi, who can participate in the internal affairs of the guild. After having qualifications and contributions, they can be promoted to higher positions. The peripheral members are more casual, there are no restrictions on professional level, and you don't bother to care about your life and death guild, it's just a title of Royal Knights. "What nonsense are you talking about? I'm a peripheral member and I need to find you." Zhang Yi let go of Xiao Zhou's collar and said angrily. "Experience potion." Zhang Yi said, If you provide Chu Han with enough experience potion to reach level 300, it should be regarded as making up for your broken promise. Isn't it too much? Well, since you can't fulfill your promise, how about you compensate in another way? Zhang Yi thought for a moment and then said. Chapter 157 Bad News, she died? What's the matter? Xiao Zhou became nervous again, for fear that Chu Han would make some abnormal request. Chu Han showed a harmless smile, and took out a gray stone from his backpack. Prop. Empress's Disaster, Seal, Open Black Lens Bracket Level, ********** Close Black Lens Bracket. Introduction. Tickets for the Secret Realm, Entrance to the River Styx, Close Black Lens Bracket. Chu Han thought about it carefully. Apart from joining the Royal Knights, there are two other things on his mind. One is the hidden mission on his body, to find the location of the White Fox family. But that stuff requires opportunities and luck, and you have to do it yourself, so there is no need to leave it to others. The other one is the ticket for the sealed quadruple secret realm. How to unseal this thing? Chu Han has no connections at all, so it shouldn't be difficult to hand it over to the rich and powerful young master. Handing the props to Xiao Zhou, Chu Han said, "This is a ticket to a secret realm. It's been sealed. Please ask the young master to unseal it for me." Xiao Zhou looked at it with a frown, then nodded. "Okay, you send me the item information, and I'll go back and find a solution. However, the materials used to unseal each item are different, and I have to ask around. If I can ask, there is no guarantee, and even if I ask, whether the materials can be obtained is also a problem." With the lesson learned from last time, Xiao Zhou didn't dare to talk nonsense, so he didn't say anything to death. "Well, just try your best." Chu Han was not aggressive, and sent the item information to Xiao Zhou after adding friends. After reading the message, Xiao Zhou let out an, and his face was obviously a little unsightly. What the hell, 8-star props. Sealed props are generally very precious, even 3-star and 4-star items are extremely rare. Of course, its function is not the same as that of ordinary props. And behind the powerful effect, the price to pay is being sealed. Professionals want to use props, they have to do everything possible to unseal the props. The troublesome thing is that the unblocking materials needed for each prop are unknown, and it will take a lot of time to unblock by yourself. If you want to save time and effort, you have to go to prop masters, those so-called professionals. Some prop masters specialize in how to unseal props, and have learned some rules. With a lot of experience, they can quickly find the corresponding unsealed materials. Of course, the cost is surprisingly high. After all, those who have this skill belong to the minority, and the props that can be sealed are quite rare, and the benefits they bring are definitely considerable. It wasn't the high fees that Xiao Zhou was uncomfortable with, money was really nothing to him. The main reason is that all the high-level prop masters he knows have high self-esteem. To ask them to do something, not only does it cost money, but you also have to lower your posture and beg in a nice way, otherwise they won't bother to care about you. Xiao Zhou, who is also proud of his talents, has never said anything about begging for help to others. This is quite a test for him. But there is no way, whoever let himself talk about breaking the promise today, no matter how difficult it is, he has to bite the bullet. Damn it, I didn't break my promise, I just lost my mind. With a sigh in his heart, Xiao Zhou nodded in response. Okay, I will do these two things as soon as possible. Experience potion, I will give it to you within 2 days. As for the materials to unlock the item, I can't guarantee it. It may take a while. With the previous lesson, Xiao Zhou became more serious in his speech. Chu Han touched his nose and laughed dumbly. It can be seen that this rich young man has received a good education. He is obviously very concerned about and regrets his breach of promise, otherwise he would not accept his almost unreasonable request. However, as a person who keeps his promises, he would make random promises because of his arrogance. Man, what an incomprehensible contradiction. Okay, just let me know if you have any news. Chu Han said, not planning to give him a limited time or anything. He also understands that it is not a simple matter to determine the unsealing materials, it is even more difficult than killing monsters and breaking out the sealing props. Therefore, whether Xiao Zhou can succeed is still a question. Hearing Chu Han's words, Xiao Zhou nodded. There's nothing else, I'll go first. He didn't dare to stay for a moment, for fear that Chu Han would continue to make demands. Before leaving, Xiao Zhou gave Zhang Yi a hard look. Thinking back to when I told him that I was going to fight against Chu Han, Zhang Yi panicked and blocked him left and right, as if he was afraid that he would break Chu Han. He can act so damn well. If he hadn't blocked him in every possible way, he wouldn't have increased his bargaining chips and made a promise that he couldn't keep as a bet, and he wouldn't be in such a mess now. Xiao Zhou gritted his teeth and left. Zhang Yi whistled and looked up at the sky. Nothing to do with me. After Xiao Zhou left, Chu Han sighed softly, feeling a little disappointed. Why, don't you think the compensation is not enough? If not, I'll bring him back. Seeing that the future captain was depressed, Zhang Yi hurriedly asked. No need. Chu Han said indifferently, it's just that I thought I could quickly enter the Royal Knights, but it didn't work out. Hey, it's my fault. I didn't tell you in advance. Zhang Yi folded his hands behind his head and leaned on the wolf's head. That kid really doesn't have the right to pull you into the guild. I knew this from the very beginning. So I acted so excited, I just wanted to blackmail him more. How about it, isn't your acting skills good? He. Chu Han laughed dryly, but did not speak. Zhang Yi suddenly stopped laughing, and said seriously, actually, Chu Han, you don't need to put so much pressure on yourself, you are not fighting alone. To be honest, if it's just to investigate Captain Chu Zai's matter, it doesn't make any difference whether you get into the Royal Knights or not, because there is a 9th team in the guild that is working hard. Especially Sister Cece, after she successfully enters the Royal Knights at the 9th rank, she can easily obtain the details of the mission of hunting the flower demon on the other side. At that time, it will be easy to find Captain Chu Shi. We are in Guling Mountain now. What we need to do is to continue to trace along the line of Sakura country, and I think the most urgent task is to find out where the missing people are hidden. Those people are probably the food that the Sakura kingdom awakened Yamada no Orochi. Back then, the Bana flower demon also went to look for Yamada no Orochi, so if you find those missing, you can find the Bana flower demon. After listening, Chu Han nodded, I understand. Compared with entering the Royal Knights and investigating from the root, the path of pursuing the Sakura spies is obviously closer. According to the divination result of Master Yao Shengyu, if you find the flower demon on the other side, you can find your sister Chu Shi. Wu. Yi, Yishan. Sister Cece, Shi. Woo woo woo. The two looked up at the same time. Both Chu Han and Zhang Yi were puzzled. They looked at each other and at the same time at the owner on the bird's back. It was Su Ying's red jade falcon. Su Ying, what's wrong with you? Zhang Yi frowned and asked. Chu Han hesitated for a moment, but couldn't help but say what was on his mind. Zhang Yi, do you feel that something is wrong within your royal knights? After a long time, Su Ying finally calmed down a bit. When she looked at Zhang Yi, her tears burst out uncontrollably. Seeing that Zhang Yi was silent, Chu Han didn't ask any further questions. He changed the subject and continued, you just said that you want to find the whereabouts of the missing person. Do you have any ideas or clues? Hearing this, Zhang Yi couldn't help but startled. I saw a big red bird galloping towards them, and stopped in front of the two of them in a panic. Ha. Ah. Su Ying grabbed Zhang Yi excitedly, her throat was blocked by painful whimpers, and she was almost speechless. This. Zhang Yi shrugged. Just as he was about to speak, he heard a strange voice above his head. Regarding what Chu Han said, he had indeed thought about it, but there was no evidence, and he was unwilling to talk about this topic. She's dead. Only, that strange voice came from Su Ying. She grinned and sobbed nonstop, her pretty face was stained with tears and snot, and she looked extremely sad. Chapter 158 See it clearly, I am your uncle, boom. Zhang Yi's heart missed half a beat. Who are you talking about? He grabbed Su Ying with his backhand, fear flashed in his eyes. Su Ying cried even more urgently. See, Sister Cece, they said that Sister Cece died while doing the mission of rank 9, and Sister Qinshin has already gone back. Woo. Yishan, let's go back too. Zhang Yi blinked quickly, held his breath, and calmed himself down in this way. There's definitely something weird about this. With the strength of the vice captain and the strong support of the guild, no matter how dangerous the 9th rank mission is, she will not easily die in it. In order to support this young female knight who was about to reach rank 9, the old guys from the Presbyterian Church almost forged her equipment to the extreme. There are also countless props and consumables brought during the missions, and the Presbyterian Council can be said to have exhausted everything. Even if the task is difficult, she will fail at most. How could she die? Let's go back now, Zhang Yi said resolutely, then turned to look at Chu Han. Chu Han looked solemn. Don't worry, I will follow what you said to track down the whereabouts of the missing person, and if you need help there, you can also tell me at any time. Okay. Zhang Yi took a deep look at Chu Han, then rode on Haoyue Sirius, and took Su Ying away. There is no teleportation device on Guling Mountain. They need to go to the nearest city below the mountain to teleport back to the Royal Knights. Chu Han looked at the back of them leaving, and suddenly felt a little sad in his heart. That Xu Xiying who hadn't met before, her sister's former deputy, died just like that. He seemed to be able to see that the strange girl, in order to rescue the captain and reorganize the team, practiced day and night, almost desperately trying her best, but in the end, she still fell at the last step. I must be very unhappy. Chu Han's eyes became rosy, and he shed a few tears for the person he had never met. The silver wolf and the red falcon disappeared from sight, and Chu Han was the only one left in the entire arena square. Looking at the empty field, Chu Han suddenly felt as if he had passed away. He glanced at the hall behind him. Chu Han originally wanted to go to Jiyu Changshan and ask about the disappearance of the protective barrier for no reason, but now he is not in the mood anymore. Where do we start to track down the whereabouts of the missing person? Chu Han murmured. Although Zhang Yi didn't finish his sentence just now, it can be guessed from his expression that he has no clues. Ask Elder Ni. It's useless to think too much. Chu Han decided to try his luck first. This old man is not too clear. Ni Chen sat on the sofa and shook his head. This is the first time I have encountered such a thing after participating in so many Zhenwu Grand ceremonies. This year is really unlucky. I am ready to beat the Royal Knights team, regain the championship. Alas, it's just a pity for the three of you. He still regrets missing the championship this year. After complaining, Ni Chen looked at Chu Han with a little doubt. Why do you suddenly care about this matter? To be honest, this matter should be handled by the government. We folk guilds often don't care about it. Easy to intervene. Chu Han hesitated for a moment, then explained. Because behind this incident, it is related to Sakura country in Yamata no Orochi. I may find out why my sister disappeared in the first place through this matter, and maybe I can find her back. Is that so? Ni Chen put down the tea bowl, his expression became serious. He knew about the relationship between Chu Shi and Chu Han, and he had also heard about Chu Zai's affairs back then. After all, he was one of the strongest talents of the new generation, and Ni Chen also paid close attention to him. He didn't ask Chu Han why he linked these two incidents together, but said, regarding this incident, the officials in Dongzhou City may know some inside information. Official staff? Hearing this, Chu Han's eyes lit up. Yes, if something has been found out, I'm afraid only the Dongzhou City officials and the Longwu department will know. Hey, those children are probably more ill fortune than good. Let's say, I don't have any acquaintances in the Longwu department, but I do know a few official leaders of Dongzhou City. You wait for me for a few days, and I will find a way to ask something. Thank you, Elder Ni. Chu Han stood up suddenly. I'll go out for a while. Chu Han. Ni Chen also stood up and stopped him. Chu Han held the doorknob, stopped and turned around to look. Ni Chen smiled. If you need help, just tell me. There are people from the spiritual cultivation church here. You are not fighting alone. Chu Han froze for a moment, opened his mouth to say something, but just nodded. Well, I see. Coming out of Shunlong Villa, Chu Han went straight to the main hall opposite the ring square. Then Ji Yu Chongshan can be regarded as an official member. If there is news from within, even if Ji Yu Chongshan doesn't know the details, he can still hear some news. Elder Ni had to wait for a few days, and Chu Han definitely couldn't wait, so why not ask this guy directly? Maybe, by the way, the incident of the enchantment disappears for no reason can be liquidated. The side hall, Wu Lu Hall, was pitch black, and all the people had left. After Chu Han approached, he found the door was ajar, so he pushed it open and walked in. Referee Ji Yu? Chu Han looked at the neatly tidied office area and called out softly. The game was suspended indefinitely, the staff here had long since disappeared. Chu Han's voice echoed, and the room seemed extremely empty. After calling several times in succession, Chu Han stepped forward gradually. The lights in the room were not turned on, and the light was not very good, making it look a bit dim. Referee Ji Yu? Chu Han shouted again, his voice involuntarily increased. Referee Ji Yu is not here, tell me something. Suddenly, a hoarse and deep voice sounded from behind Chu Han. Chu Han shuddered and turned around abruptly. A thin and old figure came into view. The dark skin seemed to blend with the darkness in the room. Chu Han couldn't help taking a few steps back, squinting his eyes, and found that the other party was indeed a human being holding a cleaning tool, so he was relieved. Later, Ji Yu Chongshan got used to it. Whenever he didn't dare to go home, he hid in the hotel. The room I mentioned just now is where he often lives. Chu Han was speechless. The lives of these seniors are really colorful. Chu Han was taken aback. Good guy, how can the cleaning staff at Guling Mountain earn such extra money? What ant? He threw the broom on the ground with a thud. See clearly, I am your uncle. Old man, do you know where Referee Ji Yu has gone? After hesitating for a while, Chu Han still chose a safe address. Chu Han opened his mouth. Suddenly he didn't know how to address him. More than an hour ago, I saw Ji Yu Chongshan running out in a hurry. Something must have happened again. You must go to the place I mentioned to find him. Fortunately, the other party clearly marked the price, and 1,000 gold coins was nothing to Chu Han, so he traded directly. After getting the money, the old man smiled and said, Sun's Town, Chaodu Hotel, room B302, under Guling Mountain, let's look for it. At this time, it was only 2 hours before the ring with Chao Zhou, so Ji Yu Chongshan was so idle. Why did he go to the hotel? After hearing this, Chu Han frowned and touched his chin. At this time, the old man took the broom and poked it against the wall, and the lights in the hall instantly turned on. So accurate, it sounds a bit like nonsense. It is difficult to distinguish between men and women in old age, and with the lack of light, Chu Han can't see clearly. The black old man chuckled and said, I'm not afraid to tell you without shame. I once had an affair with Ji Yu Chongshan, and when his wife found out, Ji Yu Chongshan was too afraid to go home and hid in a hotel. Old man, are you sure Referee Ji Yu has gone to the hotel? Logically speaking, shouldn't he go home? Excuse me, ma'am, I'm leaving first. Now that he had asked about Ji Yu Chongshan's location, Chu Han didn't delay much. The old man put the broom in his hand aside, and stretched out a finger to Chu Han, 1,000 gold coins. Chapter 159 This is an order, in a word, almost burned Chu Han's CPU dry. Ji Yu Chongshan, you're pretty good at playing, you have a wife at home, and you're still hooking up with the old man outside? Understood, I wish you happiness. After leaving the words, Chu Han walked towards the door. Etc. A stained broomstick was lying in front of Chu Han. The black old man stopped him and smiled meaningfully. You still haven't given me 10,000 gold coins. Chu Han opened his eyes wide. What is 10,000 gold coins? Isn't your message sold for 1,000? And I already gave it to you? Hey, this 10,000 is a hush money for you to keep secret. Secret? Chu Han was even more puzzled. The old man put on an expression of, I've seen through you, and said with a chuckle, stop pretending, you have a pretty face, so I'm going to appoint you as Jiyu Changshan's new face, okay? New friend? Hearing this word, Chu Han was shocked, and his small eyes were full of great doubts. The black old man was still analyzing on his own. After Jiyu Changshan threw me away, his taste changed, and he began to like young people with no hair. HMPH, his taste is getting worse and worse. Chu Han seemed to be struck by lightning, blinking his eyes and trying to explain something, but he didn't know how to speak. On the contrary, the old man was a little impatient, and kept urging, hurry up, I don't want your affairs to be known by the old hag in Jiyu Changshan's house, 10,000 gold coins is a must. Half a minute later, Chu Han walked out of Wulu Hall indignantly. What kind of thing is this? I just came here to find out some news, but I almost lost my reputation in the end. Of course, he gave the 10,000 gold coins to the old man. Chu Han considered himself a decent person, but he didn't want to get himself into trouble for this little money. Looking up, the sun is about to set, and the purple afterglow is scattered in the ring square through the gaps between the branches in the forest. It looks more desolate and empty. Chu Han summoned Xiao He, mounted his horse and rushed down the mountain. Sunshi Town, Xiaodu Hotel. Jiyu Changshan roughly made the bed, then dragged his tired body to lie on it, and let out a long sigh of relief. Thinking of the duel between Chu Han and Chao Zhou in the arena today, Jiyu Changshan couldn't help feeling afraid for a while. He almost killed Chao Zhou. That's the nephew of the president of the Royal Knights. Although Chao Zhou said something to President Yin Kai himself when he borrowed the ring, but that was based on the rules and system. After all, there is an official regulation that the Guling Mountain Arena cannot be lent for private use. What's more, he also knew that the dignified president would not come in person because of such a trivial matter, so it doesn't matter if he speaks arrogantly. But then the situation was different. He secretly closed the protective barrier, originally intending to take advantage of Chao Zhou's hand to intimidate Chu Han, but unexpectedly, Chao Zhou almost lost his life. If this is pursued, I'm afraid I will be torn to pieces by Yin Kai. The officials of Dongzhou City will never go to the Royal Knights just because they are a small referee. Originally, he planned to shirk it as an equipment failure after he was overwhelmed by Chu Han, and no one would be able to find out anything. Anyway, Chu Han has no background, so he can just fool the spiritual cultivation church at that time. But Chao Zhou was different. Even if he didn't die, but almost died, if Yin Kai found out about this, with his violent temper, he would definitely not let it go. Jiyu Changshan originally wanted to hide far away, but because of his cash, he really couldn't go too far. However, the most dangerous places are the safest, and darkness under the lights can be regarded as a strategy. In this small hotel, not only can you observe the movement of Guling Mountain at close range, but you can also recall the happy things that happened in this small house by the way. Call. Jiyu Changshan rubbed his face, ready to get up and get some food. After he came out of the kitchen, the last ray of sunset light outside the window had disappeared. It's dark. After simply cooking a bowl of noodles, Jiyu Changshan sat at the table, devouring the noodles and the garlic. He had been on tenterhooks all afternoon, and now he was tired and hungry. Boom boom boom. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. The hand that brought the food to his mouth stopped. Jiyu Changshan looked nervously at the door, and expected that there was something wrong with his auditory system. Boom boom boom. Backfired. The knock on the door continued. Jiyu Changshan held his breath, not letting himself make any sound. But the knocking on the door continued, and it seemed that it was impossible to pretend that there was no one in the house. The other party's persistent knock on the door obviously came after confirming that he was here. Who will come? Is Chao Zhou going to settle the accounts in person, or is he calling his uncle together? It seems that there is no difference. No matter what, I am not an opponent. Who? Jiyu Changshan put down the bowl and chopsticks, and said in a deep voice to the outside. Open the door, room service. The person outside the door replied. Serve your uncle. Jiyu Changshan cursed in a low voice. There is a fart room service in this small hotel. Why don't you check the facilities here before lying? Wait, he said to the outside, then picked up a stool and slowly moved towards the door. Just now, I heard the people outside talking, and the accent was a bit strange, not like Chao Zhou. Did this kid really call Yin Kai? Grass, as for? How King narrow-minded. The most worrying thing still happened. This Yin Kai is really just like the rumors. He has a bad temper and never takes revenge overnight. How many hours have passed? Just came to the door. Jiyu Changshan had just had a full meal, and with confidence in his stomach, he walked towards the door step by step. Snap. The deadbolt popped out, and Jiyu Changshan bravely opened the door. Standing outside the door was a handsome strange boy. And only himself, no one else. Who are you? Where's Chao Zhou? Jiyu Changshan poked his head out and looked in the corridor, but found no other figures hiding in the dark. He quickly realized that with Chao Zhou's strength, if he wanted to take revenge on himself, there was no need to play a sneak attack. As long as he wanted to, he could come up with 360 tricks to kill himself. There is no one else. The boy put his hands behind his back and smiled. I'm sorry, there is no room service. I lied to you just now. Jiyu Changshan was even more puzzled. At this time, besides Chao Zhou, who else would come to him? Who are you and what do you want from me? He asked again. That's right. The boy still squinted and smiled. I have a friend who will arrive soon, and I have to wait for him in this room. He looked down with interest. So, you want to order me to leave this room and give it to you? The boy also stretched out his hand to grab the edge of the door at the same time, and stood in a stalemate with Jiyu Changshan. Jiyu Changshan was a little annoyed. I said it's inconvenient, Brad, get out of here. Call out, I'm not discussing with you, this is an order. Boom. No, you don't need to leave. The boy walked in through the crack of the door and stood opposite Jiyu Changshan. As soon as the words fell, the boy turned into an afterimage and rushed forward. When he appeared behind Jiyu Changshan, he already had a samurai sword in his hand. 2 seconds later, he fell backwards and fell with a bang. Inconvenient, he replied coldly, closing the door forcefully. At the same time, Jiyu Changshan in the back looked terrified, his eyes were shocked, and his body seemed to be fixed there. It was a long knife with a light blue blade, with simple patterns engraved on it, not fancy at all. The boy held the handle of the knife and lowered it slowly. A drop of blood slid down the tip of the knife and hit the ground. You may have misunderstood. The boy continued to smile, showing a row of teeth, under the light, glowing with a strange forest white. Hearing this, Jiyu Changshan rolled his eyes, and he was nervous for a long time, because he was just a kid who came here to make trouble for no reason. You just need to die, the heads are separated. What? Jiyu Changshan almost laughed out loud. Do the little kids these days watch too many hot-blooded anime, and are they all so secondary? Chapter 160-9 Turn Professional, Kobayashi Jiro. The door is closed. Chu Han stood in front of the door of B302, not in a hurry to go in, and listened carefully to what was going on inside. It was quiet, like no one was there. Was he deceived by that old man? It doesn't look like he's lying. He doesn't look like someone would ruin his reputation just for 10,000 gold coins, right? It's not impossible. Chu Han was suspicious, leaned closer, and put his head against the door. Still very quiet, however, something seemed wrong. Chu Han frowned. It's the smell of blood. He sniffed it carefully, and yes, it was 100% bloody smell. There's definitely something going on in this room. A sense of crisis welled up in his heart, and Chu Han became more cautious, but Jiyu Changshan was probably only one door away from him, so he had to go in. Thinking of this in his heart, Chu Han took out a black, brown bug the size of half a palm from his pocket. The sawtooth cockroach, a little monster at level 13, was caught by him on the way. Since Jiyu Changshan was thinking of killing himself in the arena, now that he came to him, he might try to trick him, so he had to guard against it. Seal of Hades. After marking the sawtooth cockroach, Chu Han raised his hand and gently knocked on the door. Open the door, room service. Here we come. There was a response from the room, followed by the sound of footsteps. The person who came to open the door so quickly was definitely not Jiyu Changshan. Coupled with the smell of blood just now, Chu Han probably had some guesses in his heart. Reincarnation whispers. A dark forbidden curse was thrown at the sawtooth cockroach, and the 20-second countdown began. Chu Han's plan is simple. If after the door is opened, the people inside attack him, then let the seal of Hades on the cockroach be blown to death together with him. After all, the seal of Hades is inflicting real damage, and no one can withstand the -9,999,999,999,999,999 whispered by reincarnation. If you guess wrong, use the autocratic domain to temporarily freeze the entire area to delay the cockroach's corpse explosion. Use this time to form a team with the opener so that he won't be harmed by the seal of Hades. Although this is troublesome, it is still safe. I just feel sorry for this little cockroach, it is bound to die. The footsteps gradually approached, and Chu Han quietly spread his wind spirit wings. Snap! The locked tongue flicked, and a light as bright as daylight shone through the crack of the door. Following the harsh door hinge rotation, a handsome young man of similar age appeared in front of Chu Han. Chu Han was slightly taken aback. Damn it, you looked in the wrong place? That old black man was really lying to himself. I'm sorry, Chu Han said calmly, and then prepared to release the ice forbidden spell. And when he looked at the saw-toothed cockroach on the door frame, his pupils suddenly widened. Looking past the young man, Chu Han saw a headless corpse lying on the floor in the room. A few meters further along the blood trail, there was a bloody head. There was a bowl upside down on the face of the head. There seemed to be some noodles in the bowl, sliding out along the edge, as if the head was covered with pale maggots. Although he could not see clearly the appearance of the deceased, judging from his clothing, Chu Han could almost confirm that this person was Jiyu Changshan. He was actually killed. The strange situation happened so suddenly that Chu Han was a little confused for a moment. He looked at the young man and saw a harmless expression on his face, with a seemingly friendly smile at the corner of his mouth. Receiving Chu Han's gaze, the young man looked back, then shrugged and said with a smile. I hate it when others waste food. I asked him to finish the remaining noodles, but he didn't seem to be very obedient. The other party's tone was relaxed, but a chill rose behind Chu Han's back, as if a cold snake was crawling. Sensing the danger of the person in front of him, he subconsciously took 2 steps back. At this time, call out -9,999,999,999,999. The young sawtooth cockroach died instantly. It is a level 13 monster with a blood limit of only 550. It didn't understand until its death, what kind of rule did it commit to be eligible for this death penalty? Puff. The effect of the Pluto seal was triggered, the cockroach exploded, and a dark mark shot towards the boy. Chu Han watched all this helplessly, and the dangerous aura emanating from the strange boy made him very afraid. Chu Han didn't stop him, and checked the other party's information. Open black lens bracket Jiro Kobayashi close black lens bracket, occupation. Starry Sky Ronin, 9th rank swordsman, Zutun Motong, 9th rank alchemist. Open black lens bracket level. LV.562 close black lens bracket open black lens bracket physical. 1,477,224 close black lens bracket open black lens bracket power. 1,511,435 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket wisdom. 1,495,021 close black lens bracket, agility. 1,345,871. Spirit. 1,462,879. Combat power value. 7,312,503. Cherry Blossom Countryman. Chu Han's expression moved slightly. The other party was probably a year or 2 younger than him, yet he had already reached rank 9 of dual professions. This Kobayashi Jiro is dozens of times, even hundreds of times stronger than the 2 Sakura girls he met before. Jiyu Lingshan's disappearance, this person probably played a very important role and was even planned by him. In that case, go to hell. Shu Lang smiled coldly, and the Pluto seal was about to fall on Kobayashi Jiro. As soon as he touches it, he will immediately take the damage of the sawtooth cockroach when he dies, and the final damage value will increase by 10%. Enough for him to die hundreds of times. Everything happened between lightning and flint, and when the black mark was about to be attached to Kobayashi Jiro, he actually took a step back slightly. An oval-shaped purple star hole appeared, directly engulfing Kobayashi Jiro. And the Pluto seal was photographed on the wall, and there was no living creature in the attack range as a target, so it disappeared very quickly. At the same time, the star hole appeared by the window on the other side of the room, and Kobayashi Jiro walked out again. What a sinister dragon countryman. He laughed. Your dragon country has a saying. Oh yes, young people don't talk about martial arts, ha ha ha. The Buddha is angry with the common people. Oh, poor Miss Ikeda, I don't know what kind of inhuman abuse I will suffer. The corner of Chu Han's mouth twitched. Do you want me to return the person to you? I came here this time just to see what kind of person is able to capture Ikeda Wu, and by the way, kill him. Well, actually, there is no reason. Do you need a reason to kill a person from the Dragon Kingdom? He just needs to die obediently. Why did you kill Jiyu Changshan? Chu Han asked in a cold voice, not in a hurry. Chu Han narrowed his eyes in silence, and a strong killing intent surged from the bottom of his heart. When Kobayashi Jiro spoke, his eyes curved into a crescent shape with a smile. If you don't listen to his conversation, it's really just like a brother next door chatting with you. Chu Han's expression became more dignified. The opponent's double 9 ranks and more than 7 million battle strength were too great. Chu Han also smiled. He licked his lips. His eyes were as cold as the sea of ice. However, it is not impossible to fight. Then let's try. Who? Kobayashi Jiro stopped laughing, tilted his head, and then suddenly realized, this person. Kobayashi Jiro continued. Your name is Chu Han, right? I heard that you captured Ikeda Mai. I'm very interested in you. He seemed to be intoxicated by his own humor, and burst out laughing. No, don't get me wrong. Kobayashi Jiro waved his hands hastily. It's useless for me to come back for a waste that can be taken away by the enemy. If you like, you can abuse her however you like, or you can marry her home. Ms. Ikeda is here when it comes to men and women. Kung Fu is great. You want to kill me? Facing such a monster with a human face and a beast heart, Chu Han's murderous intent boiled, and the blood in his whole body burned. Chapter 161 Ghost Road, Shira Field. The mighty and ancient chi surged from between the heaven and the earth, gathered in this humble building like a ruin. Then, pour it all into Chu Han's body. Kobayashi Jiro's pupils shrank suddenly, and the gentle smile that had been hanging on his face disappeared. The sight in front of me is really frightening. Chu Han bowed his body in pain, only feeling that every cell in his body was filled with strange energy, and then continued to expand and split. He clenched his teeth tightly, and the nails of his clenched hands pierced into the flesh, and blood flowed from between his fingers, but he couldn't feel it at all. The Buddha is angry with the common people. Chu Han never thought that just using a skill would allow him to have such an unprecedented and extremely painful experience. Power, endless power, it fills every inch of my body, flows into all limbs. Then, start to swell. As his size grew, cracks appeared in Chu Han's body at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then healed and cracked again. After a few repetitions, the surface of his skin turned blue-red, and burst blood vessels covered his whole body, constantly beating. At the same time, his body expanded faster and faster, tearing through his clothes in the blink of an eye, and then piercing through the ceiling and floor. Rumble. Chu Han in the form of Shira appeared in the night, and the entire six-story hotel collapsed with his transformation. Kobayashi Jiro dodged around, avoiding every falling rock with incomparable vigor, and stood on top of the ruins. Looking at the huge monster with angry face and fangs in front of him, he looked dignified and shocked, and a drop of cold sweat inadvertently flowed down. F***K. What is this? My god, where did the monster come from? I recognize it, this seems to be Shira, the evil god Asura. Woo, Mom, I'm afraid. The residents of the town who were awakened by the movement gathered around one after another, not daring to approach in the distance, but reluctant to leave. In the era of job change for the whole people, it was not uncommon for monsters to invade, but they basically happened in cities. This was the first time this kind of thing happened in a small town like Sun's Town. Especially in a small place like this, there are very few professionals, and even if there are, they are all life-type occupations, and there are very few combat-type occupations. Therefore, when seeing Chu Han in Shira form, most people still feel fear and panic in their hearts. A little calmer, they have already started calling the official hotline, asking for support from the city defense team. Chu Han was quite bewildered at this time, he didn't expect that one of his skills would make such a big fuss, and he even turned into such a ghostly look. You will attack in Shira form? This broken skill introduction is too lazy, can't I write more details? If I knew it earlier, I would have found a spacious place, but it's a pity that it's a small hotel, and I have to find a way to compensate the boss later. But that's all for later, the most important thing right now is to clean up Kobayashi Jiro. In Shira form, Chu Han's five senses became more acute, he looked down and soon saw Kobayashi Jiro's figure in the ruins. I saw his expression gradually change from shock to calm, and finally, a little excited. Chu Han hated his smile the most, he was furious immediately, he raised his fist and threw it down. Boom! A fist smashed into the ground, and the sky and the earth shook for a moment, countless debris splashed around, causing bursts of painful cries. And Kobayashi Jiro had already hit on the other side. Chu Han looked around. With his current state, if he continued to beat him, he might hurt innocent people. Moreover, Kobayashi Jiro was cruel and tyrannical. If he became insane, he might attack the onlookers indiscriminately. While hesitating, Chu Han suddenly saw that there was an extra row on his skill bar. That's never been done before. Could it be the exclusive skill of Shira form? With a thought in his heart, Chu Han quickly looked over. Ghostway Sewer Field. Open black lens bracket Ghostway Kamic Fire close black lens bracket open black lens bracket Ghostway Infinity Prison. Open black lens bracket Ghostway Bookmaking Array. Ghostway Asura King. Ghostway Destroyer of Demons. The 6 new skills flashed a strange red light. Without hesitation, Chu Han radiated energy and locked on Kobayashi Jiro in front of him, then raised his leg and shook the ground violently. Ghost Dao Shira Field. Boom. The space seemed to be shattered, and chaos began to occur, with dense purple cracks superimposed, surrounding Chu Han and Kobayashi Jiro. Soon, they seemed to have entered a different space. Shira Field can bring the enemy into the Zumi realm, and apply debuff to the opponent. The damage is reduced by 30%, and the damage taken is increased by 30%. The most important thing is that in this different space called Zumi realm, it is impossible to interact with the outside world. Here, Chu Han can do whatever he wants. Hee, what a surprise. Kobayashi Jiro smiled strangely, holding the long knife horizontally in front of his body, flashing blue light. Still laughing, Chu Han let out a roar, carrying the voice of gods and Buddhas, permeating in the different space. In an unknown distance, there is a purple airflow pouring down from top to bottom. It seems to be the edge of this space, which can isolate all worlds and swallow everything. Ghost Dao Karma Fire. Trying out the new skill again, Chu Han's body surface glowed with faint will-o'-the-wisp fire, spreading all over his body, and his whole body was instantly ablaze. Chu Han was slightly taken aback. He thought it was a destructive fire-type skill similar to Purgatory, but it turned out that it was just enchanting himself. Also, try Lao Su's Fire Fist. Chu Han's ferocious fangs gleamed coldly, his body burst out, and he punched Kobayashi Jiro. Make you laugh, smash your face. With the limitation of body size, although the speed is slightly slower than before, this punch still has the momentum of thunder. Boom. Space shock. Even the purple airflow at the edge of the space stagnated slightly, showing how majestic this punch was. However, Kobayashi Jiro escaped easily. He didn't even use skills, relying only on his speed and body skills, he easily avoided Chu Han's attack. It's so strong. Transformation skills are almost comparable to my high-level potions. Kobayashi Jiro seemed to have found a fun toy, and he didn't seem to have any fighting spirit. When mentioning advanced potions, Chu Han suddenly thought of Sanju, the little monk who was turned into a monster by the potion. Could it be that he is the same as him now? Chu Han froze for a moment, but the short-term doubts quickly dissipated. No, it's different. I'm conscious now. I'm going to kill this cherry blossom devil. Opening his bloody mouth wide, Chu Han let out a roar. Not fast enough, is it? Wind spirit wings, puff? 2 pairs of scarlet flesh wings broke through the skin and protruded from the back, and there were clear green blood vessels on the wing membrane, densely packed like a spider web. Chu Han looked around. To be honest, it's a bit disgusting, but as long as it works, give me another punch. With the speed of Feng Ling's wings, Chu Han's huge body more than 20 meters high turned into a red afterimage, and the fire fist fell again. The green light burst. With the blessing of karma, this punch unleashed the power of the 6 realms, almost tearing the space apart. I don't know if it's not enough speed, or he didn't want to dodge at all, but Kobayashi Jiro stood there, motionless. When the fire fist struck, he raised his hand slightly and stabbed forward lightly with the long knife in his palm. Ding! When the knife and fist collided, there was a sound of metal colliding, which was deafening. Just like that, a 2-finger-wide blue long knife forcibly blocked Chu Han's attack. However, Kobayashi Jiro was weaker in the end, and his body slid back tens of meters. The two distanced themselves again. Chu Han's blood soared with rage, and after his figure stopped, he immediately raised his right arm high and fell hard. Nirvana thunder. Rumble. The pure black lightning condensed on the top of the different space, and immediately slammed down. The black thunder dragon that devours the sky and the earth comes from the sky, like a god and demon descending into the world, destroying all living things in the world. Kobayashi Jiro looked up, his eyes filled with pitch black. When the thunder dragon descends, he holds the knife in both hands and slashes upwards. Ge slash. Chapter 162 Wonderful scene, 2 teenagers walking out of the black mist. The light blue airblade rose slowly, in stark contrast to the black thunder dragon that was swiftly slashing down. And when the two met, Thunder Dragon was split by the airblade, splitting into 2. Click boom. 2 broken thunders fell to the ground, and the thunder net was densely covered. Kobayashi Jiro still suffered follow-up injuries, but it was already painless. Hey, this is Juhi Zan, 1 sword break, boom. Chu Han didn't give the other party a chance to breathe. When Kobayashi Jiro retracted the knife, he attacked again and punched him. -1,915,483. The white damage value floated up from the top of his head, nearly 2 million, which was not considered painful for a 9-turn swordsman, but Kobayashi Jiro was hit by a giant fist and rolled on the ground a few times in extreme embarrassment before barely standing up. Enduring the pain that his bones were almost shattered, Kobayashi Jiro wiped the corner of his mouth and spat viciously. Sure enough, young people don't talk about martial arts. Keep laughing. The natural disaster of Purgatory. Chu Han still didn't stop, and the forbidden fire spell in Shira form exploded. The burning flames swept across all directions, and the red and black fire dragon tore through the void, releasing terrifying energy, covering Kobayashi Jiro. The entire Zumi realm became distorted under the scorching of the magic flame. Kobayashi Jiro was also enraged, and he swung the blue long knife again. Big tornado. The swirling sword energy attacked forward, opening a path from the magic flame. Kobayashi Jiro moved forward, and after running for a certain distance, an oval star hole appeared. He got into it, and moved behind Chu Han in an instant. The shadow of the knife flashed wildly. Ghost slash. Laugh. A terrifying aura came from behind, and Chu Han suddenly turned around, resisting with his body. -982,481, Ghost Road Infernal Prison. A long sword suddenly appeared from under his feet. No matter how agile Kobayashi Jiro was, it was hard to dodge it. With a kai, the blade of the giant sword brushed against Kobayashi Jiro's side, leaving a long bloodstain on his cheek and causing about 2 million damage at the same time. Kobayashi Jiro was once again stunned and amazed. As soon as Ghost Slash hit his body, Chu Han only lost less than 1 million blood. What kind of monster is this? Ghost Slash, that is an 8th level skill. Even if 10 mages of the same level come, they can be defeated in seconds. What's more, Chu Han only has rank 6. Kobayashi Jiro couldn't help but panic in his heart. Such a terrifying person was born in the Dragon Country. If he continues to grow up, will the Sakura country have a chance to turn around? No, he must be killed now, and he cannot be given a chance to continue growing. Facing the genius who is still in the developing stage, Kobayashi Jiro has made up his mind to kill. He dodged the huge sword protruding from the ground and fell to the side. Just as he was about to continue attacking, he felt another chill coming from directly below where he was standing. Kobayashi Jiro's crotch felt cold, and he almost instinctively dodged to avoid it. The next moment, the same huge sword stretched out, leaving bloodstains on the other side of Kobayashi Jiro's face. The young man was terrified. He did not dare to stay after dodging, and continued to dodge to the side. Whenever his stature stagnates, the giant sword will protrude from the ground. After a few breaths, this space is full of sword blades, like an endless sword prison. Kobayashi Jiro was in a panic and dodged everywhere, but no matter where he dodged, the giant sword followed closely like tarsal maggots. However, after all, as a double 9th rank professional, his speed and body skills are all top-notch, avoiding most of the damage from sword prison. You can really run. Chu Han watched from the side, the corners of his ugly and ferocious mouth kept turning down. Ghost Dao bookmaking array. Chu Han continued to throw out new skills, and within the range of the sword prison, a huge, Sanskrit, character lit up, shining faintly with purple light. As if there was a Sanskrit sound, Kobayashi Jiro suddenly felt his soul shake, fear, heart palpitations, panic, and all kinds of negative emotions rushed in, so that his body skills were blocked, and he was directly cut by the huge sword from bottom to top, and a deep visible line was cut on his back. Bone wound. Hey hey. The smile would not disappear, but it was transferred from Kobayashi Jiro to Chu Han's face. He looked at the embarrassed figure of Kobayashi Jiro in the Sanskrit array, with great interest, and said with a smile, "Isn't it enough to eat? I'll give you more food." Purgatory Calamity. Nirvana Thunder, Fire and Thunder, the most eager to fight, released 2 series of forbidden spells in succession, all of which fell within the range of sword prison, drowning Kobayashi Jiro's figure in an instant. It was the first time he fought against a rank 9 professional, and Chu Han didn't know whether he could kill him like this. So, he didn't dare to stop, and used the forbidden spells one after another until his body felt the drained exhaustion again. After casting thousands of forbidden curses, Chu Han kept panting, exhaustion was written all over his ugly face. He looked up, wanting to confirm whether Kobayashi Jiro was alive or dead trapped in the sword prison. The flames spread out, and what appeared in front of my eyes was a giant sword that had been cut in two. Chu Han was puzzled, but before he could see clearly, a star hole appeared beside him. Chu Han's heart suddenly turned cold. Sure enough, rank 9 professionals are not so easy to die. The star hole opened, and Kobayashi Jiro walked out from it. Although he is not dead, his body and face are full of bloodstains, and his clothes are in dilapidated condition. Almost all of them have been chopped up and burned. Under the rage of fire and thunder, the durability of his clothes has reached 0 and will be destroyed at any time. His exposed skin is also dark, obviously he has suffered a lot. The only thing that hasn't changed is the long knife in his hand, which is still shining with blue light. Obviously, all the giant swords in the sword prison were cut off by it. You are the first one who can force me to take the potion. Kobayashi Jiro lowered his sword and walked slowly towards Chu Han. The tip of the knife made a harsh sound on the ground. Hearing this, Chu Han's face darkened. It turned out that this guy was taking drugs. Thinking of the day when Monk Sanju drank the potion, he lost his sanity and turned into a monster. Could it be that Kobayashi Jiro would also change? It doesn't look like that. Chu Han denies this guess. Kobayashi Jiro should be taking elementary potions, which only increase attributes. That high-grade potion is extremely sinister and against human nature. No matter how crazy Kobayashi Jiro criticizes it, he probably won't turn himself into a monster without self-awareness. Kobayashi Jiro's own strength is here, and with the help of medicine, it is not surprising that he can resist thousands of forbidden spells. After all, he only has 6 ranks. Chu Han resisted the collapse and straightened his body. The space of the Zumi realm began to shake, as if it was about to collapse. The huge exhaustion filled his body, making his limbs tremble a little. He looked at Kobayashi Jiro, who was walking slowly. The opponent's figure was less than 1/10 of his own, but he could still bring a lot of coercion. Kobayashi Jiro's temperament has completely changed, and he no longer has that gentle and jade-like youth appearance. He was in a distressed appearance, but he was full of hostility, like a murderous demon walking out of the 9 nether purgatory, even more vicious than Chu Han in Shira form. This, perhaps, is the real Kobayashi Jiro. Chu Han, very good. Kobayashi Jiro got closer. His voice became deeper and deeper. It's a pity. You don't belong to my great soccer empire. What a pity. Chu Han's weak and ugly face burst into disgust. Don't be disgusted with your father. Even if I was reincarnated as a pig, I wouldn't be your cherry blossom dog. The sound of the tip of the knife cutting across the ground suddenly stopped, and Kobayashi Jiro stood where he was. He nodded slightly, and then showed a characteristic chuckle. Then, just die, ghost slash. Kobayashi Jiro jumped into the air, and the sudden burst of momentum made the remaining clothes on his body no longer able to hold up, and all of them fell off. Facing the attack of the murderous airblade, Chu Han used his last ounce of strength to drink softly, dictatorship domain. The familiar ice world did not appear, and Chu Han could no longer hold on. Throwing out thousands of forbidden spells in a short period of time made him drain the strength of every muscle in his body. It was difficult to maintain Shira's form, and Chu Han shrank suddenly, returning to his original appearance. At the same time, the Zumi realm completely collapsed, the empty space receded, the surrounding scene reappeared, and they returned to the ruins. Chu Han sat paralyzed on the ground. In midair, Ghost Slash still existed and slashed towards him. Chu Han, who could no longer use any skills, watched the Yulin Chi blade fall, and his pupils couldn't help dilated. The radiance of divine blessing. The light shield exuding holy radiance protected Chu Han. The airblade slashed on it, and a white -0 floated up. All damage was blocked. Kobayashi Jiro, who kept jumping in the air, was slightly taken aback, and he was a little surprised to suddenly return to the real world. Those onlookers didn't leave, and even became more. Kobayashi Jiro suddenly remembered that all the clothes on his body were destroyed. At this time, he was naked and exposed to the crowd. His expression changed drastically, and he quickly fell back to the ground. The flashlights clicked, and countless people began to take pictures and videos. No one could bear to miss such a wonderful picture. As for Chu Han, whose life was saved, his clothes were already torn because of his transformation just now. He covered his vital parts with a dazed expression. On the other side, Shen Xingchen, who arrived in time, looked at the two naked teenagers who appeared from the black mist just now, with a dazed expression on his face. Chapter 163. Chu Han, Stay Alive, Guling Mountain, Shenglong Villa. In Chu Han's bedroom. You seem to be sad. Shen Xingchen handed the hot water to Chu Han and sat on the edge of the bed with a half-smile in his eyes. Chu Han rolled his eyes at him. If you were photographed naked in front of so many people, you would be more sad than me. In the battle with Kobayashi Jiro in Sun Township at the foot of the mountain, he was rescued by Shen Xingchen, and he has been lying on the bed, depressed. As for Kobayashi Jiro, Shen Xingchen did not chase after him. After all, Chu Han was already very weak at that time. If he chased him and the other party returned his carbine, he would be in danger. His physical energy was almost exhausted, and now Chu Han felt throbbing pains in his chest even when he breathed. Of course, a large part of the reason for his loss was because he lost to Kobayashi Jiro. Shen Xingchen looked at his little apprentice with a smile, as if he had read his mind, and said, "The kid who escaped is Kobayashi Jiro from Sakura Country, right?" Hearing this, Chu Han raised his head. "Do you know him?" "I've heard of it." Shen Xingchen stood up, walked slowly to the window and looked out. The most famous talented boy in the Sakura Kingdom in recent years. It is said that both professions have reached rank 9. I heard before that King Sakura personally gave him the Yaodao village, which is the third in the list of national weapons, for his use. Today, I have a chance to see it, and it is really extraordinary. Yaodao village Zheng. Chu Han recalled the simple blue long knife. To be honest, that knife is not very eye-catching, but now that I think about it, Kobayashi Jiro was able to split his forbidden curse, more or less relying on the power of that knife. Also, in the infernal sword prison, he was able to survive, thanks to the weapon in his hand. National equipment list, what is that? Why haven't I heard of it? Chu Han asked again. There are a lot of things you haven't heard of. Shen Xingchen smiled, and immediately explained, basically every country has its own list of national weapons, but big countries are heavy weapons, and people should not be underestimated, so most people have never seen it. The number one national weapon in the Sakura Kingdom is the 8-foot Chongguyu, which is currently in the hands of their king. I heard that the second Tiankongyun sword is lost. As for what I just said, the knife in Kobayashi Jiro's hand is the third-ranked Yaodao Muramasa. Chu Han nodded, the blue demonic light appeared in his mind, and the annoying smile on Kobayashi Jiro's face. Shen Xingchen glanced at Chu Han, and continued, "So, it's already very rare for you to fight with a person who has dual occupations at 9 ranks and holds a national weapon to this extent. Even if news of today's battle situation spreads, people will only give you a thumbs up and won't think you've lost. After all, you only have rank 6. Spend it out." Chu Han shuddered, remembering that his naked butt was photographed and video recorded, and he felt like hanging himself in an instant. Sighing, Chu Han stopped thinking about those things. Regarding the loss to Kobayashi Jiro, he didn't want to blame any national weapon or the level gap. In short, losing is losing. I lost this time, so I'll find a way to win it back next time, and just kill him by the way. However, Chu Han is still very interested in national equipment. After all, his current equipment is actually quite shabby. Thinking of the equipment, Chu Han suddenly sat up straight. He remembered that after his Shira form ended, he was completely naked, so the equipment would also be blown out, right? My dragon soul cloth. After quickly opening the backpack to check, Chu Han was relieved. The dragon soul cloth, the Paraz necklace, and the function suit were all lying inside intact. It seems that when transforming into Shira, the protection mechanism will be triggered, and the equipment will automatically return to the backpack, and only ordinary clothes will rot. After confirming that the equipment was still there, Chu Han felt relieved. He looked expectantly at Shen Xingchen, and continued the topic just now. "Master, can you help me, and get me 2 national artifacts?" Shen Xingchen glared. "What the hell? King think you look like a national weapon." Chu Han poked his index fingers together. "I just asked casually, why are you scolding so badly?" Shen Xingchen ignored his pretentiousness, and said angrily, "National equipment, those are all trophies from the frontier battlefield, and each piece is hard won. Do you think it is a bad street product? We have a lot of national weapons in the Dragon Kingdom, but they are all kept in the Longwu department. I don't have the ability to take them out. If you have the ability, go to the Longwu department to ask for it yourself." As soon as the words fell, there was a knock on the door. Shen Xingchen strode over and opened the door. "Hello, Longwu department." The 2 people at the door were wearing gray-green uniforms, with a lifelike dragon embroidered with gold thread on their left shoulders. It is the sergeant of the Longwu department. Shen Xingchen blinked, but before opening his mouth, he continued to ask. Is Chu Han here? Please come with us. Chu Han? What do you want him for? Shen Xingchen grabbed the edge of the door with one hand, showing no intention of letting them in. The two sergeants looked over at the same time, and met Shen Xingchen's gaze. Elder Shen only needs to hand over, there is no need to ask more questions. Faintly, there was a sense of tension between the two sides. Master, let me go. At this time, Chu Han got off the bed and walked over. Although his legs were still trembling, he could walk slowly. The Longwu department is in charge of the military affairs of the Dragon Kingdom, and even the border troops can be directly ordered. Chu Han understood their status, and there was no need for Shen Xingchen to have friction with them because of him. Although I am very curious about the border battlefield, mentioned by Shen Xingchen just now, there will be plenty of time to talk after that. Walking in front of the two sergeants, Chu Han smiled helplessly. I may be walking a little slowly now. It's okay. One of the sergeants turned around and motioned for Chu Han to follow. Shen Xingchen watched Chu Han leave. His eyes couldn't stop worrying, but he couldn't stop him too much when facing the Longwu department. The sergeant who hadn't left hesitated for a moment and said to Shen Xingchen. Don't worry, Elder Shen, Chu Han will be fine. I have offended you a lot today, but I'm on business, please forgive me. Shen Xingchen, the god of protecting the country, once wiped out 3 old evil gods with his own power, helping the Dragon Kingdom to eliminate the crisis. It can be said to turn the tide and help the building to fall. Such a heroic deed has made him an idol in the hearts of countless people. This sergeant joined the Longwu department at a young age, so he naturally knew Shen Xingchen's deeds well. If he hadn't been performing official duties, he would definitely not have the same attitude towards Shen Xingchen just now. Putting down these words, the sergeant also left, catching up with Chu Han and the others. After the 3 of them left, people from other rooms also surrounded them, especially Ni Li and Juniper, whose worried faces were almost overflowing. Elder Ni Chen frowned, stepped forward and asked, Elder Shen, Chu Han, what happened? Shen Xingchen's sudden appearance last night had startled them. Immediately afterwards, seeing Chu Han's appearance of being so weak that he was about to die, he was shocked again. Before hearing the explanation, Chu Han was taken away by the people of Longwu department again. This day was really too exciting for Ni Chen. It's okay. Shen Xingchen waved his hand and didn't say much. With the huge size of the spiritual cultivation church, coupled with his special status, even if the Longwu department has an official background, he still has to live with his face. Even their senior officers had to be polite when they saw him, so as long as he was here, Chu Han would not be in danger. Wanting to understand this, Shen Xingchen didn't worry too much and just waited quietly for news. He relaxed his neck, looked past Ni Chen, and looked at the elder Lu Hongli who was standing at the back, with some amusement in his eyes. On the other side, Chu Han followed the 2 sergeants all the way out of Shenlong Villa, through the Ring Arena Square, and entered the hall. Enduring the discomfort in his body, Chu Han walked up to the 9th floor step by step, and finally stopped in front of a room. Come in, the general is waiting for you inside. After finishing speaking, the 2 sergeants left, not intending to go in with Chu Han. It's inexplicable. Chu Han complained. The sore muscles all over his body felt like ants crawling, making him miserable. Feeling restless, Chu Han didn't even bother to knock on the door, so he just pushed the door open and walked in. The room is spacious and bright, and all kinds of furniture and facilities are arranged in an orderly manner, like soldiers in neat rows. Chu Han took a quick glance. In the rather small room, there was only one person standing in front of the bookshelf, who seemed to be flipping through something. Looking at his back, he seems a bit familiar. Hearing someone come in, the man put the book back on the shelf and turned around. The empty sleeve on the right fluttered slightly. The man helped the straw hat on his head and said with a smile. Don't come here without any problems. Chu Han, chapter 164 is that, still there? The man's face was as sharp as a knife, with sharp edges and corners, and there was a little softness in his fortitude. He is wearing a lavender Frontier Army uniform, with 3 dragon badges on his chest, representing the title of a senior officer. Chu Han looked at the man, his expression gradually changed, General Luo. The man in front of him has a mutilated right arm and a straw hat that he made on his head. Who could it be but Luo Dang? I have long heard that the Longwu department sent a senior military officer to lead the organization to investigate the case of missing persons in Guling Mountain. Unexpectedly, it was Luo Dang who came. Being able to see Shen Xingchen and Luo Dang successively at such a time of desperation, Chu Han also inexplicably felt a sense of peace of mind. The old friend reunited, and after a few simple greetings, Luo Dang called Chu Han into the house. Some time ago, I heard that you stole the limelight at the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony. Later, something strange happened in Guling Mountain, so I took the initiative to apply to come here. Unexpectedly, you brought me such a big prize before my butt was hot. Surprise. After sitting down, Luo Dang stared at Chu Han and said. Surprise. Chu Han was taken aback, unable to understand the meaning of the words. Are you still pretending to be a fool with me? Luo Dang's eyes sparkled. He picked up the remote control on the table. Come, let's see the evidence. Then, he turned on the wall-mounted electronic screen and started playing a video. Chu Han turned his head to look curiously, his face flushed immediately, he stood up and grabbed the remote control. Turn it off quickly. In the video, it was the scene of him lying half-naked in the ruins after the battle with Kobayashi Jiro last night. I don't know which god it is, but he used professional-grade video equipment to take pictures of his size and model clearly, and even gave him a close-up shot. If this video gets out, I will be completely nailed to the pillar of shame. Haha, don't worry. Luo Dang smiled and avoided, and moved the video forward for a few minutes. This thing is also you, right? Hearing this, Chu Han looked again, and there was a giant demon god in the video, which was his Rakshasa form after using Buddha's wrath of the common people. In the picture, he is standing on the ruined wall, his whole body is in a mess. The small hotel couldn't bear the impact of his transformation and was completely destroyed. And with his majestic punch, countless rocks flew, and many houses nearby were also damaged to varying degrees. Hearing the bursts of exclamation in the video, Chu Han was a little embarrassed. At that time, I didn't feel much being there. Now, from the video, the damage I caused seems to be more serious than I imagined. Deliberate sabotage and disturbing civilians, this must be held accountable according to the law, the crime is not small. Luo Dang turned off the video, and looked at Chu Han with a half-smile. Since professionals have extraordinary abilities and can cause crushing levels of massacres to non-professionals, the Dragon Kingdom has express regulations that professionals are not allowed to use their abilities at will in residential areas. Anyone who violates the law can be held accountable according to the degree of damage and casualties. Of course, special circumstances can be dealt with specially. So Chu Han immediately defended, I didn't mean to sabotage. I was hunting Kobayashi Jiro at the time, and he was the mastermind behind the Gu Lingshan incident. Jiro Kobayashi. Luo Dang turned the video to silent, his expression became serious. Is that the genius boy from Shenying Club? That's right. Chu Han nodded his head heavily. So many people disappeared on Guling Mountain, it's because he's playing tricks, and I saw him kill Gu Changshan with my own eyes. Luo Dang nodded and began to meditate. On the way to Guling Mountain, he made a lot of guesses. The Sakura Kingdom must have been thought of, but what he didn't expect was that the legendary boy who had only heard of it in rumors appeared. In this case, things may become troublesome. How does his strength compare with yours? Luo Dang was very concerned about this question. 50-50, I almost killed him alone. Chu Han didn't blush and his heart didn't beat. Luo Dang gave Chu Han a suspicious look, but didn't investigate further, since he was allowed to run away. Let's ignore it for now. The most important thing right now is to find the missing person. Yeah. Chu Han nodded, it must be done as soon as possible. I suspect that they captured so many people to wake up Yamada no Orochi. Yaki Snake. Luo Dang was surprised when he heard the words. Why do you say that? Is there any evidence? No, it's just a friend's guess. Chu Han hesitated and shook his head. Regarding the captured Sakura girl Mayakeda, he also gave up hope. The Royal Knights had a traitor, and I am afraid that the interrogation process would also be hindered. Luo Dang frowned in thought and nodded. This guess is very likely. The border battlefield is about to start, and these cherry blossom devils must not sit still. Hearing the term, border battlefield, for the second time today, Chu Han was really curious. General Luo, what exactly is this frontier battlefield? Luo Dang explained. To put it simply, it is a copy of the national war. The victorious country can get rich rewards. Over the years, the Sakura Kingdom has never defeated us. Now there are still about 3 months before the next copy is opened. They may be anxious. Chu Han said, so let's not let them succeed. Luo Dang nodded. In the afternoon, I will call a meeting with the top leaders of Dongzhou City to locate the missing person as soon as possible and carry out rescue. Okay. Chu Han was relieved to leave this matter to Luo Dang. If what Ni Chen said before is correct, the officials of Dongzhou City would not dare to hide anything from the Longwu Department if they knew something. After all, the Longwu Department is the representative of justice and possesses the highest power of law enforcement. As a senior military officer, Luo Dang is the leader in stabilizing the Dongzhou municipal government. After confirming the location, the matter of saving people will be handed over to the Longwu Department, and he can follow the Yamada no Orochi to find the flower demon on the other side. Feeling unprecedented ease, Chu Han couldn't help stretching. Turning his head, he glanced at the big screen on the wall next to him from the corner of his eye, and his ferocious and majestic second brother came into view. Damn, why isn't the video off yet? Chu Han jumped up violently, and reached out to grab the remote control again, but the feeling of exhaustion in his body immediately made him lose strength, and he sat back down again. Luo Dang noticed Chu Han's strangeness, smiled and said, why, was beaten like this? Isn't it 50-50? HMPH, he's not much better. Chu Han continued to speak stiffly. Also, I wasn't beaten, I was tired. After observing carefully for a while, Luo Dang probably knew about Chu Han's situation, and immediately took out a white jade porcelain bottle from his backpack. Come on, drink it. Chu Han reached out to take it and checked the information of the porcelain vase. Consumables. Yushu liquid. Function. Longwu Department specially provides potion, which can replenish physical strength. Close black lens bracket. Replenish physical energy? Chu Han couldn't help exclaiming. It is indeed a special offering from the Dragon Armed Forces Department. It can directly replenish the physical strength of professionals, which is hundreds of grades rarer than those potions that can only restore blood volume. Chu Han was also polite, uncorked the bottle and drank it directly. The miraculous power began to swim in the body, as if repairing every torn muscle. Chu Han could feel that the strength of his body was full again, and that feeling was incomparably miraculous and indescribable. Opening his eyes again, Chu Han grabbed the remote control and turned off the video. Then, he bit his finger and looked at Luo Dang. Is there any more? Chapter 165. I am here this time, and there is another thing. Exhaustion after several consecutive high-intensity battles forced Chu Han to pay attention to this issue, so when he saw the elixir that could restore physical strength, he didn't care about his shame. This thing can really save lives at critical moments. Luo Dang was stunned for a moment, then smiled and directly initiated the transaction, giving Chu Han all the jade essence liquid on his body. Looking at the 200 bottles of potions on the transaction column, Chu Han couldn't help but click his tongue. General Luo, you are a bit too arrogant. Needless to say, the value of Yushu liquid was extraordinary. Luo Dang was so generous with it, which surprised Chu Han. Keep it. Luo Dang smiled lightly, just think of it as a return gift. Hearing this, Chu Han raised his head, then followed Luo Dang's gaze and looked at the straw hat placed on the table. After understanding what the other party meant, Chu Han would also smile heartily and accept the potion unceremoniously. But if it's convenient, can you do me one more favor? Luo Dang said suddenly. Chu Han's eyes darkened. Shit, I knew things weren't so easy to hold. Just tell me what you're busy with and I'll do my best to do it. Luo Dang waved his hand. No hurry, what I want to talk about is about the frontier battlefield. The 39th Army under my command is stationed at the border between Dragon Kingdom and India, and will also be responsible for fighting the border battlefield between Dragon and India. So I thought, I'll leave you one of the 10 places to enter the copy. Me? Chu Han simply suspected that there was something wrong with his ears. I am a student who has just graduated. I have struggled to fight in the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony. Am I qualified to fight in the national war? Haha, don't pretend to be like me, kid. Luo Dang chuckled, his dark eyes as deep as the sea. You were able to kill the old evil god just after changing your job. I saw that with my own eyes. Later, he gained the favor of Shen Xingchen and Yao Shengyu. He was promoted to the #1 seed when he first joined Shuling Church. Now he is tied with the most famous genius boy in Sakura Kingdom. With such a dazzling record, you still doubt your own strength? Chu Han scratched his head in embarrassment. It really wasn't a tie. If Shen Xingchen hadn't appeared in time, he would have died on the spot. But now that he has the opportunity to fight on the border battlefield, Chu Han is still very excited. After all, he can get in touch with the national weapon that Shen Xingchen mentioned before. After hesitating for a moment, Chu Han still resisted and said, let's talk about this later. Isn't there still 3 months left? The most important thing now is the matter of Guling Mountain. That's right. Luo Dang nodded and said, but I'll finish my words. Sending you to fight on the border battlefield is just my first step. Later, I plan to get you into the Dragon Arms Department to focus on training. You should think about it carefully. After saying that, he stood up and said, well, that's all we have to talk about today. It's time for me to meet the leaders of Dongzhou City. When the matter in Guling Mountain is over, I'll treat you to dinner and then we can have a good chat. Yeah. Chu Han also got up, and just about to leave, he suddenly remembered something. By the way, General Luo, the matter of the hotel at the foot of the mountain. Don't worry, I have solved the problem of compensation for the aftermath. You don't have to worry about it anymore. After Luo Dang finished speaking, he laughed again. As for the video, there is no way, it has been leaked. I can only try to control it, will spread widely. Hearing this, Chu Han held his forehead in despair, and walked out of the office howling continuously. Luo Dang smiled and shook his head. After Chu Han left, he opened the address book. Xiao Lu, come to my place. Half a minute later, a young soldier with a cropped cut came in. General Luo, are you looking for me? Luo Dang stood in front of the bookshelf again, continued to read the page just now, and ordered without looking back. Tell the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ask them to negotiate with the Shengying Society. You don't have to say too clearly. After all, there is no direct evidence. You just need to tap. Also, inform the Dongzhou municipal government that we will meet here in the afternoon, and we must work out a specific rescue plan before today. Yes. Xiao Lu took the order and retreated. Coming out of Luo Dang, Chu Han walked through the arena square again. The familiar Xuanzi Group arena has reopened its protective barrier. The 5 circular barriers are like wild beasts that choose people to eat, dormant here. These days, he seemed to have passed by here many times, and Chu Han couldn't help but slow down. Compared with before, it was indeed too deserted. Can those people come back? Chu Han looked at the empty arena and auditorium, dazed. They will definitely come back. They will continue to compete with themselves. When the time comes, their sister will also be found. She will sit in the audience and see herself win the championship with her own eyes. It seems. Very good. What are you doing standing there in a daze? A noisy voice interrupted his thoughts, and Chu Han rolled his eyes angrily. My good master, why are you not staying in the hotel? Opposite, Shen Xingchen strode over and kept looking at Chu Han. The guys from the Longwu department didn't make things difficult for you, did they? Chu Han habitually wanted to make a joke, but after seeing Shen Xingchen's serious look, he gave up the idea. Don't worry, that senior officer is from my hometown. Not only did he not embarrass me, but he also invited me to drink tea very politely. Fellow, Shen Xingchen was dubious, but after confirming that there was nothing strange about Chu Han, he felt relieved. Chu Han had a smile on his lips. Master, are you worried about me and want to go to the Longwu department to ask for someone? Why, are you afraid of them? Shen Xingchen curled his lips with a sultry expression. As long as I'm here, let's see who dares to touch you. That's who you are. If they dared to spank me, wouldn't it be equivalent to a slap in your face? Chu Han still couldn't help but made a desperate move, and then quickly changed the subject before Shen Xingchen got angry. By the way, master, why did you come to save me last night? You have the nerve to ask. Shen Xingchen glared at him. Originally, Xiao Wabao and I were living in a world of two. It was a time when we were inseparable, but the teacher told me that you would suffer a disaster. Let me come to the rescue quickly, huh? Luckily I arrived in time, otherwise your dog's life would have been lost. Master? Chu Han was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect that Yao Shengyu, thousands of miles away, was still concerned about his safety, which made him a little touched. That's right. Shen Xingchen said, as a 9-turn fortune teller, the teacher also has certain prophet abilities and sensed your crisis in advance. So awesome. Chu Han thought thoughtfully, paused and said, yes, can you please tell Master to divine where the missing people are, so that we can save us from searching like headless chickens? It's impossible. Shen Xingchen shook his head and said, the CDs for divination skills are very long, and the materials required for divination are also extremely precious. I heard from the teacher that he helped you divination before the Zhenwu ceremony. Regarding your sister's information, I'm afraid her skills are still cooling down. What? After hearing Shen Xingchen's explanation, Chu Han's worldview almost shattered. But isn't a fortune teller just for divination? If you can only use your skills for so long, isn't this profession useless? Who told you that diviners can only tell fortunes? Can you do some homework? Shen Xingchen squinted at him. Divination, blessing, cursing, and puppetry are known as the 4 unique skills of a fortune teller. Among them, puppetry has been banned by the World Professionals Alliance, because it is against humanity. However, relying only on the other 3, fortune tellers are also auxiliary. The best in the profession. Chu Han was confused when he heard this, but one thing was clear. He could not ask his master for help. The location of those missing people still depends on Luo Dang. Seeing Chu Han's slightly disappointed expression, Shen Xingchen straightened his expression and said, don't rush anything else. I actually have another thing to do when I come to Guling Mountain this time. What's the matter? Chu Han blinked, unsure. Shen Xingchen looked towards the direction of Shenlong Villa and the hotel. He took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, eliminate the traitors. Chapter 166 Angry Kobayashi Jiro, you don't deserve to mention her name. Kobayashi Jiro walked in the dimly lit narrow corridor, with a faint scent of grass in the air. At the end of the corridor, the expensive door was painted with bloody cherry blossoms, and seductive gasps came intermittently from the cracks in the door. Kobayashi Jiro walked in directly. In the arrogant and luxurious room, a strong old man was holding the bunny girl and enjoying it, his expression full of enjoyment. Oh, look who's here. The audience suddenly appeared, and Mickey G quickened his movements, then pushed the bunny girl away from her body, and put on a long pajamas indiscriminately. How was this trip to the Dragon Country? Did you save my Akeda? I miss her perfect body so much. Kobayashi Jiro looked gloomy and did not respond. The white-haired old man in front of him is one of the elders of Shungying Club, Mamusi. Kobayashi Jiro has always been arrogant on weekdays. In the entire Shungying Club, except for the president, no one can make him look down. And this Mamusi can be said to be the person he despises the most. It stands to reason that with Mikiji's strength, being a captain in the Holy Sakura Society is not enough to convince the public. The reason why he can securely hold the position of elder is that he controls the Sangwang Group, has great financial resources, and can provide a large amount of operating funds to the Holy Sakura Society. In other words, the elder Mamusi was bought purely with money. Moreover, there was only one reason why he came to be the elder, and that was to play with more women in another place. Where's the president? Kobayashi Jiro pulled the chair beside him, threw away the leopard print suit and black silk hanging on the back of the chair, and then sat on it. This time when he returned to Shungying Club, the president Zhang Yangja also called him back in person. The president is not here, he asked me to talk to you. Mamusi took the cigar handed over by the bunny girl and took a deep puff. The smoke afterwards was particularly sweet. Kobayashi Jiro flashed a hint of impatience, folded his chest and said, what's the matter, tell me quickly. Mamusi exhaled a smoke ring and smiled. Facing such an arrogant young man, instead of blaming him, he admired him a little. The meaning of the president is to ask you to stop the actions of Dragon Kingdom and release all the captured Dragon Kingdom people back. If you want me to tell you, you really don't need to bother, even if you can destroy the Dragon Kingdom, so what, how much can you benefit from it? Kobayashi Jiro pinched the bridge of his nose, his patience was about to run out. What do you want to say? Follow me. Mickey G no longer beat around the bush. With my financial resources and your strength, half of the Sakura kingdom will belong to us in the future. Why should we succumb to this small holy Sakura society? Kobayashi Jiro leaned back, half leaning on the back of the chair. Is this also what the president meant? No, no, no. Mickey G took another puff of his cigar. This is my personal invitation. As long as you agree, I will give you whatever you want. Money? Women? I guarantee that you will have inexhaustible supplies. After saying that, Mickey G snapped his fingers, and several bunny girls walked up on high heels and surrounded Jiro Kobayashi. However, when they pressed their curvy bodies against each other, a long blue knife suddenly appeared in Jiro Kobayashi's hand. The demon sword village was shining with bloodthirsty light, and several bunny girls were so frightened that they turned pale and retreated. Being in the Holy Sakura Club, they have naturally heard of Kobayashi Jiro's name. Bloodthirsty and cruel, killing people like hemp, looking sunny and childish, but beating in the chest is the heart of a devil. But this time, he didn't seem to have any desire to kill. After scaring away a few bunny girls, he turned around and walked out. Mickey G's smile froze on his face and slowly disappeared. Looking at the young man's back, he showed a sullen expression. Xiaolin-kun, why is this necessary? If you don't want so many beautiful girls, are you still thinking about that Yuan Shaonai? Kobayashi Jiro suddenly stopped, and the right hand that was holding Muramasa trembled slightly. The next moment, he stabbed backward with the most powerful gesture. The tip of the sword pointed directly at Mickey G's throat. Huge fear exploded from the bottom of his heart, and the blue demonic light suddenly hit him. Mickey G hid backwards in embarrassment and rolled directly over the back of the sofa. The sound of breaking through the air penetrated both ears. The moment Mickey G fell to the ground, he felt a chill on his neck, followed by a smooth warmth flowing out. Is blood. Mitsuki took a deep breath. Kobayashi Jiro did not kill him. The sword was withdrawn in time, leaving only a cut mark on his throat, which happened to not cut off the trachea and arteries. The room fell into silence again, and the bunny girls were so scared that they ran out. At this time, nothing is more important than life. Mickey G fell to the ground in an extremely ugly posture. After a moment of stalemate, he suddenly forced out a smile. As one of the most successful businessmen in Sakura country, he has extremely keen insight and the courage to bet everything at any time. At this moment, he bet on Jiro Kobayashi's sword and did not dare to take another step forward. You dare not kill me. Even if you are a crazy critic, you still have to be wary of your identity as the elder of the Holy Cherry Society. Sure enough, when Mickey G finished speaking, the violence in Jiro Kobayashi's eyes softened a little. He slowly retracted the knife and said in a low voice, "You have no right to mention Nai-chan, and no one has the right to say her name." Mickey G's smile became even brighter. He felt that he had won the bet, and even with a little more effort, he could draw Kobayashi Jiro under his command. Isn't she just a woman? Why are you obsessed with her so much? With your strength, Xiaolin-kun, you can have as many women as you want. Yuan Shaonai has never come back since the last time she went to intercept and kill the female knight of the Dragon Kingdom. She is probably dead long ago. Just forget about her. My woman can make you experience unprecedented happiness. After that, he snapped his fingers again, only to find that the bunny girls had long disappeared, and he couldn't help but cursed. At this time, Kobayashi Jiro said faintly, "What do you know? Shaonai-chan will not die, I will prove it to you." Hearing this, Mickey G was slightly startled. What? How to prove it? Kobayashi Jiro smiled brightly, and Muramasa's demonic light shone in his hand. When you go to hell, you will never see Konami-chan. This is the best proof. The demon sword Muramasa let out a bloodthirsty buzz of excitement, and at the urging of its master, it stabbed straight into Mickey G's heart. After a moment of silence, he put away his weapon and his tone was as cold as ever. He turned around expressionlessly, and saw a short, fat old man walking slowly from the door. As the president, I have officially ordered that the action of awakening the Yamada no Orochi be put on hold for the time being and will be discussed later. As for those Dragon Kingdom professionals you captured, all of them should be put back. Since Elder Mickey G can't communicate with you, let me do the talking. What if I refuse? Kobayashi Jiro's expression sank. You can give it up, President. Kobayashi Jiro said lightly, and the demon sword Muramasa had been recalled to his hands. After walking to Mickey G's side and confirming that he was still alive, he glanced at Jiro Kobayashi. The knife that could have pierced the heart didn't even scratch Mickey G's skin. No matter in terms of position or strength, Tetsuya Nakagawa has formed a situation of crushing Jiro Kobayashi. Ding! In an instant, the blood on Mickey G's throat suddenly seemed to come to life, gathering into the shape of a coin and blocking the front of his chest. Why, you still want to fight with me? Nakayong-jae also walked past Kobayashi Jiro with his hands behind his back, but his eyes went behind him. As if being blocked by an indestructible shield, the demon sword Muramasa flew out of Jiro Kobayashi's hand, spinning and stuck on the ceiling. Although they are both rank 9, Tetsu Nakagawa has also reached level 622, which is by no means comparable to Jiro Kobayashi's current level. At this time, in order to put pressure on Jiro Kobayashi, he deliberately released his air. The air in the room seemed to condense into substance, making breathing stagnant. Kobayashi Jiro always maintained his standing posture, his eyes facing the president. Only one person can achieve this miraculous ability to control objects by coagulating blood as a shield. Chapter 167 Dao Heart has been destroyed, Lu Hongwei's path of fall. There was a hint of fierceness in Zhang Yongzhai's eyes, but he quickly suppressed it. Young and arrogant, full of sharpness. For a moment, he seemed to see his former self in Kobayashi Jiro. Mamusi got up from the ground, arranged his pajamas to cover the important parts, and looked a little annoyed. President, this kid is really crazy, kill him, kill him. At this time, he also understood that Kobayashi Jiro is not only a fierce tiger, but also a rebellious tiger that cannot be driven by others. If you keep him by your side, you will be devoured by it at any time. Hearing this, Kobayashi Jiro sneered, and the bloodthirsty light flashed from Yaodao village. Zhang Yongzha also had his hands behind his back, and there was no wave on his unattractive face. It is the most stupid thing to kill each other for the sake of the people of Long Kingdom. He took 2 steps forward slowly, and continued, Shaolin, if you don't want to terminate the plan, I don't have to stop you, but I won't give you any support either. What you have to do has nothing to do with the Holy Cherry Club relation. It doesn't matter. Kobayashi Jiro said, Hey, I don't expect any help from a group of timid lizards. Zhang Yongzha also shook his head and sighed. There are some things you don't understand. I decided to terminate the plan not only because of the pressure from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but more importantly, I still have to think about it for a long time. To overthrow the Dragon Kingdom is a long process, and it cannot be done overnight. The power of Yamada no Orochi alone is not enough. We cannot devote ourselves to this plan. It's just an excuse for the cowardly. Kobayashi Jiro made no secret of his disdain. He put Muramasa away, turned and left. The bunny girls who had been going back and forth were all standing by the door, and when they saw this, they quickly moved out of the way. Mamusi was a little unconvinced, and wanted to fight again. President, you just let him go? What's the use of keeping this scourge? If he dares to fight with me today, he will dare to stab you with a knife tomorrow. The Holy Cherry Club will be destroyed in his hands sooner or later. Let him make a fuss. Zhang Yongzha also had deep eyes, with a smile on his lips. I will report back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, saying that Kobayashi Jiro has lost control, and what he did has nothing to do with my Shungying Club. After finishing speaking, he sniffed his nose, smelling the obscene smell in the room. His eyes flashed displeasure. The important place of the guild, Mr. Yumu, don't go too far. After leaving the words, Zhang Yongzha also walked away. Looking at the short and fat back, Mamusi curled his mouth wide, breathing heavily through his nostrils. Excessive. I'll let you see what is excessive. Mumbling, Yu Muzi went to the door indignantly, grabbed 4 or 5 bunny girls, and threw them directly on the sofa. Dragon Country, Dongzhou City, Guling Mountain. Shen Xingchen walked leisurely on the tree-lined path, followed by Lu Hongwei with a panicked expression. A few minutes ago, Shen Xingchen found him, said with a warm smile that he had something to explain, and called him out. At first Lu Hongwei didn't notice anything, and it was common for Shen Xingchen to give them tasks, but as they gradually penetrated into the ancient forest, Lu Hongwei began to panic. Shen. Elder Shen, if you have anything to say, just say it. Finally, he couldn't bear the pressure and said. Shen Xingchen stopped in his tracks, turned around and stared into Lu Hongwei's eyes, and said in a flat tone, Why, Elder Lu doesn't want to go inside again to see the scenery. Lu Hongwei licked his dry lips, not daring to look at each other. I'm mainly afraid that I'm going too deep and I won't find my way back. It shouldn't be. Elder Lu should be very familiar with this forest. Why can't he find the way out? Shen Xingchen suddenly became serious. Lu Hongwei's pupils trembled. No, I've never been here. Shen Xingchen sighed slightly, looking at this old friend who once fought side by side. His mood was extremely complicated. I came to you this time under the orders of the president. The reason why I called you to this no man's land is to avoid Ni Chen and the others and save you the last bit of face. Lu Hongwei's body trembled, his eyes became desperate. Why? Say it yourself or let me ask. Shen Xingchen pressed harder and harder. I. Lu Hongwei's breathing became short of breath, and his blood pressure began to soar. Since Shen Xingchen was sent by Yao Shengyu, they must know something. But what he did was extremely heinous. Even if he voluntarily admitted it, he would never be able to escape the punishment of the Longwu department. The heart was extremely flustered, and Lu Hongwei was extremely afraid. Under Shen Xingchen's oppression, he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. It seemed that the only thing left in the whole world was the sound of his heartbeat in his chest. Boom. Boom. Then, a crazy idea appeared in his mind, run. Being captured by Shen Xingchen, he could not escape death, so it would be better to fight a trapped beast. I said. Lu Hongwei cried and began to be emotional. Elder Shen, in view of the fact that I have worked for the Lingshou Church for many years and the relationship between you and me, can you give me some time? Let me start from the beginning? Well, tell me. Shen Xingchen nodded slightly, closed his eyes and sighed, unable to bear to see his dejected appearance. After waiting for a while, he didn't hear Lu Hongwei speak. When he opened his eyes, the other party had already ran tens of meters away, and flew over the jungle with his skills. Next moment, boom, Chu Han, who appeared in time, galloped from the opposite side and kicked Lu Hongwei's chest. Ordinarily, Lu Hongwei, as an elder of the spiritual cultivation church, no matter how bad he was, he would not be able to be hit by Chu Han. It's just that his attention was all on Shen Xingchen at this time, worried that he would chase him, and kept looking back, not noticing that someone was intercepting him in front of him. Boom. Kicked back by Chu Han, half of Lu Hongwei's body was embedded in the soft ground. He hid in the dark, guarding against this move. Looking at it like that, if the other party makes any changes, he will shoot Lu Hongwei at any time. Although Lu Hongwei also regretted it during the period and wanted to stop his behavior, but every time Ikeda Mai rewarded him with a wonderful body again and again, he was deeply immersed in it. After a long time, Lu Hongwei obeyed his words, and even took advantage of his status to observe the whereabouts of the contestants participating in the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony in Shenglong Villa, and disclosed it to Ikeda Mai. This also allowed them to kidnap hundreds of people secretly. Dao Xin has been destroyed. Although he didn't understand it, Shen Xingchen also understood that he could make the teacher say such a comment. This person had already betrayed the Church of Spiritual Practice. In fact, before coming here, Yao Shengyu only said 4 words about Lu Hongwei. After listening to Lu Hongwei's self-report, Shen Xingchen frowned. I still have to run it this time. I want to eat farts. Chu Han chased after him, looking down at Lu Hongwei. There was no way to escape, and Lu Hongwei accepted his fate. He stood up from the soil wearily, and after a moment of silence, he began to state the sins he had done. The matter is simple to say. It is nothing more than that Lu Hongwei was charmed by Ikeda Mai, the female fairy of the Sakura country, so he didn't control his lower body, and fell into the way of the witch. Shen Xingchen shook his head, his expression filled with endless disappointment, but it was useless to say more. He asked. It's just that he didn't expect that he would do such a frenzied thing for his own selfish desire. Do you want to continue struggling? Shen Xingchen walked over with cold eyes. Shen Xingchen continued. Ikeda Mai has been brought to the Royal Knights. Elder Lu, please give me the coordinates of Shi Chuangxing. I heard from Chu Han that there is another person with Mai Ikeda? Lu Hongwei nodded. It's Shi Chuangxing. Every time I go into this ancient forest, I go to find them too. Chapter 168 Experience Potion, directly upgrade to level 330. Lu Hongwei, a level 459 rank 800 Knight Spirit Thief. Tracking is his forte. As long as the person imprinted by him, even if he runs thousands of miles away, he can still lock the coordinates. Although Shi Chuangxing had already escaped, Shen Xingchen guessed that if Lu Hongwei was indulging in lust, he would definitely put tracking marks on the 2 women in advance. At this time, Lu Hongwei's heart was ashamed, and he did not disobey Shen Xingchen's words. Chu Han still remembered Ishikawa Xing, the cherry blossom girl in red tights, who gave Sanju the potion to turn him into a monster. It's just that after the battle, that guy disappeared. After getting the coordinates, Chu Han entered the query on the map. That location is within the range of Weihai Sea area. The missing person is the food needed to wake up Yamada no Orochi, so Ishikawa Xing will not go to other places with those people. She must be guarding Yamada no Orochi. I'm going to find her now. Chu Han thought for a while before reaching a conclusion. Wait. Shen Xingchen stopped him. It's too dangerous to go hastily like this. We still have to think long term. No, old Shen, I can't wait any longer. Thinking of finding his sister soon, Chu Han wished he could fly over along the coordinates right now. Shen Xingchen still didn't let go. It's too dangerous for you to go by yourself. I'll go with you after I've dealt with Elder Lu's affairs, or let Ni Chen go with you. Elder Ni. Chu Han murmured, Old Shen, it's not that I'm suspicious, but the example of Elder Lu is here. Can I still trust them? Shen Xingchen was speechless. This was also what he was most worried about. If there is a problem with the people inside the organization, in addition to spreading bad influence, more importantly, it will weaken the sense of trust among the members of the guild. I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to meet that Kobayashi Jiro again. Shen Xingchen still tried to dissuade him. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Chu Han said with a smile, I will inform General Luo to let him reinforce, and I won't act rashly. Shen Xingchen thought for a while, and knew that he couldn't stop Chu Han, so he nodded. Well, be careful yourself. I'll take Elder Lu back to the teacher, and I'll meet you. Yeah. Chu Han responded, and summoned Xiao He to ride up to the sky. Although there is a teleportation array in Dongzhou City, it can only be teleported to a designated location. For a field map like Weihai, you can only go there by yourself. On the way, Chu Han opened the panel and sent a message to Luo Dang. Chu Han. General Luo, I have confirmed the location of Yamada no Orochi, and I am rushing over now, requesting reinforcements. Close black lens bracket. Chu Han. Coordinates, 354,892.53, 15,984.69. After sending the message, Chu Han continued on his way. 3 hours later, he rode Xiao He and came over a sea area. The boundless sea extends to the end of the line of sight, connecting with the sky, leaving a blurred line. Chu Han looked down. Under the rolling waves, it was dark and deep, bottomless. The vast sea has swallowed up many secrets, waiting for people to discover. Go on, little black. Under Chu Han's order, Xiao He neighed and continued to gallop forward. Weihai is very large, more than 10 times the land of Dragon Kingdom, and it will take a while to fly to reach the coordinates. Beep beep. When the system prompt came, Chu Han hurriedly opened the chat panel. It was not Luo Dang who wrote the letter, but Chao Zhou. Chao Zhou. Chu Han, the experience potion has been sent to your mailbox, please accept it. Close black lens bracket. Chao Zhou. I'm still asking about the unlocking materials for that prop, and I'll let you know as soon as I have any news. Close black lens bracket. After reading the news, Chu Han switched to the mailbox interface, and sure enough, there were 100 bottles of experience potions sent by Chao Zhou. This guy is pretty reliable in his work, and he delivered the potion in such a short period of time. You must know that this item is a rare item. It is not only expensive but also rare. Almost none of the major trading houses have it in stock. It is a giant panda among consumables. Chao Zhou was able to obtain 100 bottles within a period of time, which shows his deep financial resources and wide network of contacts. Since it was delivered, Chu Han was not polite and drank bottle after bottle. System prompt. You use the experience potion to gain 100 million experience points, close black lens bracket. System prompt. You use the experience potion to gain 100 million experience points, close black lens bracket. Looking at the rapidly rising experience bar, Chu Han smacked his lips happily. It wasn't until I drank the 85th bottle that the system prompt suddenly changed. System prompt. Your level has reached level 330. Please go to the Advanced Job Transfer Temple to receive the 7th transfer mission, close black lens bracket. System prompt. Your level has reached the upper limit of 6 turns and you cannot gain experience. Do you want to continue using the experience potion, close black lens bracket? Chu Han froze for a moment. The previous agreement with Chao Zhou was to give him experience potion to upgrade to level 300. Unexpectedly, he was directly upgraded to level 330 before he used it up. This kid Chao Zhou is really stupid and generous. Chu Han couldn't help but sigh. If I had known, I would have asked him for a 7th level certificate. After a moment of annoyance, Chu Han stopped drinking the medicine and took out another big treasure from his backpack. Taboo magic stone. It's time to have a second career. Chu Han touched the stone that exuded an alluring luster and suddenly began to hesitate again. How to choose a second career? If it were a few days ago, he would have chosen the Knights without hesitation, because this way he could find a way to enter the Royal Knights to investigate his sister's affairs. But what Zhang Yi said to him before was still fresh in his mind. If it's just to investigate Captain Chu's eyes matter, it doesn't make any difference whether you join the Royal Knights or not, because there is a 9th team within the guild who is working hard. Yes, there are already so many people working hard there, it really doesn't matter whether you go or not. Putting the forbidden magic stone back into his backpack, Chu Han took out another thing. Yes. What's more, now it is very likely that I will be able to find my sister soon. Now, finally, you can learn. This knight profession is really not a must change. Without a clue, Chu Han simply stopped thinking and went back to think about it slowly. To be honest, Chu Han was not very interested in shield skills. There was no stronger shield than the dictatorship field. I can't remember when I got the skill book. It's been gathering dust in my backpack because it's not level enough. Would you like to study? You show soul seal. Close black lens bracket, but if you don't want to become a knight, why would you want to change it? Chu Han really never thought about this issue. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations on learning the skill. Royal Guard soul seal. Close black lens bracket. It's not like I really want to become a chef, never mind. Although a big battle is coming, even if you switch to a second profession now, it will only be level 0 and will not improve your strength, so you should keep it for now. The passive skill, Surge of Demonic Spirits, is triggered, and the skill, Guardian Soul Seal, is replaced by Beginning Spirit Mirror, Close black lens bracket. Chu Han looked at the staff symbol on the cover of the skill book and printed it with his right hand. However, when he looked at the skill introduction of Wu Shi Spiritual Mirror, his eyes lit up. You show Soul Seal, LV 300, 6th level skill, occupation restriction, mage. Chapter 169 People, you should study less, skill. Beginningless Spirit Mirror. Passive. Magical ability to resist all spells, can absorb all spell type attack skills. Active. Counterattack the absorbed spell skills in the form of an energy ball, close black lens bracket. Chu Han chewed the skill description repeatedly, and the corners of his mouth curled up involuntarily. He remembered that this skill book was released after killing a boss named Spiritual Mirror Pisces in the wild lake of Shanghai City. At that time, the boss could absorb his own skills and return them back. Absorb all spell type attack skills, Chu Han muttered. This is too perverted. The attack methods of professionals are nothing more than those two, physical attack and magic attack. And this forbidden spell can absorb all magic attacks, that is to say, even if the ceiling of a mage like Shen Xingchen comes, he can't beat a drop of his blood at all. What's more, he can counterattack his skills back. I just don't know what the energy ball in this description looks like, so I'll definitely try it when I have a chance. Another point is that Chu Han is not sure how big this magic attack skill is. If it is a physical professional who attacks himself with skills like sword chi, can he absorb it? Can't be sure, can only try in actual combat. After switching the interface, there was still no reply from Luo Dang, so Chu Han stopped paying attention, increased his speed to the fastest, and flew towards the target location. On Guling Mountain, the official hall stands majestically. On the 11th floor of the main hall, the meeting hall was full of people, and the atmosphere seemed extremely serious. Luo Dang sat at the head of the long conference table. The purple uniform of the Longwu department filled the hearts of everyone present with pressure. The 3 badges on his chest were even more shining, making people afraid to look directly at them. In the room, except for the 2 guards behind Luo Dang, the rest are the official leaders of Dongzhou City. As for the purpose of Luo Dang's meeting, they all understood that it was for the case of the disappearance of the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony contestant. It's just that Chen Changming, the mayor of Dongzhou City, was absent, and they didn't dare to talk nonsense in the face of a series of questions raised by Luo Dang. 4 or 5 hours had passed since the meeting was entered. No matter what Luo Dang asked, these people always said one word: don't know, don't understand, don't understand. 1 question and 3 questions. After a few rounds of tugging, Luo Dang also saw through it. As long as Chen Changming from the city government does not come, it is impossible to ask anything from these people. So it was announced that the meeting would be suspended until Chen Changming came. No one was allowed to leave the meeting room during this period. Wait another 10 minutes. Luo Dang played with the straw hat and glanced at the clock on the wall. Within 10 minutes, if Chen Changming is not present, I can only hand you over to the prison officer. As soon as this remark came out, the faces of the people sitting around the conference table paled instantly. The criminal prison department is the most feared criminal department in the country. It has so many torture tools, and the prison guards are so ruthless that it is not an exaggeration to say that it is hell. No matter who it is, as long as it enters the prison department, it will not come out clean and innocent. Of course, as the highest level criminal department in the Dragon Kingdom, the prison division doesn't just keep everything in it. Those who are eligible to enter must either be leaders above the city government level, or people who have a significant impact on society. In short, everyone inside is talented, and they speak nicely. Like these small fish and shrimps present here, the criminal prison chief probably didn't even bother to take a look. However, it would be hard to say if it was sent by a senior officer of the Longwu department in person. Everyone was afraid and did not dare to breathe loudly, only the sound of the second-hand beating was left in the room, like the countdown of their fall into purgatory. Tick, tick. I don't know how long it took, but in less than 10 minutes, finally. Boom. The slender man pushed the door open and entered, panting heavily while holding the handle. Everyone turned their gazes over, and their hearts returned to their stomachs. If the person responsible came, even if he was going to blame the prison officer, it would not be his turn. Chen Changming, the mayor of Dongzhou City, wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses, coupled with his thin body, looks very bookish. Although his strength as a professional is not great, he has been a top student since he was a child. He was the provincial #1 scholar in the culture class of their class, and he was ranked well in the whole country. I'm sorry, I've been delayed. Am I not late? Chen Changming walked to his seat and said to Luo Dang cautiously. The young city government originally thought that he would not attend this meeting and let his subordinates deal with it. Unexpectedly, that Luo Dang would not let him go, and moved out the criminal prison chief, scaring the whole room of civil and military officials to dare to say a word, and send himself messages for help, so he came to the rescue in a hurry. It's not too late. Luo Dang looked over indifferently. Chen Shifu, please sit down. Chen Changming glanced at the silent subordinates, pushed his glasses, and then sat down. Putting the straw hat on the table, Luo Dang took a sip of tea, and said unhurriedly, Chen Shifu, what do you seem to think of me? This. Chen Changming froze for a moment. What exudes from Luo Dang's body is the killing spirit that has been battle-tested for a long time, and the sense of oppression brought by it is not comparable to ordinary people. Chen Changming was a little flustered, but he also had a sense of resentment in his heart, so he cleared his throat and said, Don't dare, I'm really busy with business. I've neglected General Luo, please. Chen Shifu. Luo Dang interrupted him, I'm a straight person, I don't like to listen to nonsense, and I don't like to listen to lies. Chen Changming met Luo Dang's hard gaze, and his expression kept changing. The opponent is a senior officer of the Longwu department, and his position and status are far superior to his own. Some things are difficult for him to say, and he dare not say them. Now being forced to this point, it seems that I can't help myself. After hesitating for a moment, Chen Changming seemed to have made up his mind, and said in a deep voice. Not long ago, a small hotel at the foot of Guling Mountain was destroyed. General Luo must have watched that video, right? This matter had a great impact. Chen Changming tried his best not to expand the scope of the video, but it should still be circulating in Dongzhou City. Luo Dang remembered the close-up picture of Chu Han's naked buttocks, nodded with a smile, and signaled Chen Changming to continue. To tell you the truth, in that accident, one of the victims was Jiyu Chongshan, who was the referee of the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony. And this matter has nothing to do with a friend of General Luo's, he is Chu Han. After finishing speaking, he stared at Chen Changming. Chen Shifu, you should have read a lot, right? Chen Changming. What? Ji Changshan was killed by the people of Sakura country. What? He arrested people to wake up Yamada no Orochi. It's not suspicion, it's affirmation, Chen Changming said. I asked the staff member carefully, and he said that there is some kind of emotional relationship between Chu Han and Ji Changshan, so I conclude that this is a murder case of love. Don't be a mother f***. Luo Dang yelled, it's been so long, you must have some clues. Tell me what you know. Puff. Cough cough. Luo Dang spewed out a mouthful of tea, and quickly took the tissue handed by the guard behind him. Sorry, you continue. What? The murderer turned out to be the legendary Kobayashi Jiro. Ah. Seeing that the other party was acquiescing, Luo Dang sighed. When I first entered the Longwu department, the old leader often educated me, saying that this person should study less, otherwise it is easy to make my mind stupid. Chen Changming was repeatedly struck by lightning, and his unintelligent brain was directly overloaded and overheated. Chen Changming's expression became more serious. Chu Han is a fellow villager and friend of General Luo, you saw him again this morning, so. He froze and froze, opened his mouth again and again, but. Half an hour later, Luo Dang exhausted his tongue and told Chen Changming carefully what happened, and what happened when he met Chu Han. Luo Dang wiped off the water, and looked at Chen Changming speechlessly. So you are absent from the meeting today and don't want to see me because you suspect that I'm covering up Chu Han and working with him? Luo Dang looked at him. So, you suspect that Chu Han killed the referee? No, I suspect that there is an affair between the two of you. Chen Changming thought to himself, but he didn't dare to say it. According to a staff member of Guling Mountain, yesterday, Chu Han went to Wu Lu Hall to find Ji Changshan, and asked him where Ji Changshan was. Chapter 170 Explore the Seabed, the Mysterious Metal Building. Chen Changming faltered, hesitated for a long time and said, General Luo, actually, we have already locked the location of those missing persons. What? Luo Dang almost thought he heard it wrong. If you have a position, why didn't you go to the rescue? Because I'm afraid that they will harm the hostages, so, I want to finalize a perfect plan before proceeding. What AF** king talent? Luo Dang said with a sullen face. When you all discuss the plan, the Yamada no Orochi probably has 2 broods. Hurry up and give me the location coordinates, then form a rescue team. You don't need many people, but you need to be strong. I'll take people there myself. After driving away the group of wine bags and rice bags, Luo Dang stood in front of the window with a headache. He urgently needed some fresh air. Taking a few deep breaths, Luo Dang opened his chat panel and mailbox. As a senior officer of the 39th Army, he still has a lot of affairs to deal with. Replying messages and emails with ease, Luo Dang suddenly saw the chat box from Chu Han flickering. This kid already has coordinates? After reading Chu Han's message, Luo Dang looked at the coordinates Chen Changming gave him again. Comparing the two, there is little difference, then you can't go wrong. At this time, a young guard walked in and said to Luo Dang, General Luo, the city Chen government has prepared candidates for the rescue team. Yeah. Luo Dang looked away. It's not too late, let's go now. Return to the sea area. Chu Han rode Xiao He for an unknown amount of time, and finally came to the sky above the coordinates. Looking at the system map, where the blue dot representing himself coincided with the yellow destination, Chu Han patted Xiao He. Okay, we're here. The vast ocean is boundless. Chu Han floats above the water, and a huge sense of loneliness grows from the bottom of his heart. In the deep sea, even in the era when all people change jobs, human beings cannot completely explore and conquer it. The depths of the deep sea are mysterious and dangerous, making it daunting. Taking Xiao He back into the beast space, Chu Han took a deep breath. He is a little nervous. Elder sister, after hesitating for a moment, he stopped hesitating and plunged into the rough seawater. The physique of a professional allows him to breathe freely underwater, but he will continue to lose blood. Chu Han used Bihai Chaosheng continuously, controlled the blood volume to a healthy state, and slowly dived down. The water pressure was getting higher and higher, and after diving more than 200 meters, Chu Han felt some discomfort in his eardrums. But he didn't stop and continued to dive. Bihai Chaosheng can not only keep him alive, but also eliminate the surrounding dangers by the way. Ordinary monsters are directly ascended to heaven if they are touched by the forbidden spell of the water system. Time passed slowly, and Chu Han didn't know how deep he had dived. In short, the environment around him had become extremely dark. With his vision as a professional, his visible range did not exceed 10 meters. Loneliness and fear of the unknown can't help but rise from the bottom of my heart. Continuing to dive, Chu Han suddenly discovered that there was a strange glare not far below him, illuminating a space. In that place, ripples appeared in the seawater, and countless bubbles gushed out. Chu Han speeded up. After getting close to the glare, he discovered that this place turned out to be a large undersea rift valley, like a ghostly axe, splitting a crack on the top of the undersea mountain range, bottomless. The rocks on the stone walls on both sides are covered with spots of light, and the glare seen from a distance should be composed of this. Chu Han glanced at the system map, and his coordinate destination still overlapped, which meant that he would continue to dive. Without any hesitation, Chu Han continued to leave. Going down the huge rift valley, after diving for another few hundred meters, the stone wall beside him slowly changed. Chu Han looked carefully. Where he was now, the gray stone wall had disappeared, replaced by a bronze wall with metallic luster. The stone wall and the metal wall seemed to be connected as one, and they were completely natural. Chu Han quickly descended, and it didn't take long before he stood on a stone slab made of alloy. There are man-made buildings here. Chu Han looked left and right. On both sides of his body, there were two passages formed by bronze walls, extending infinitely. He turned off the navigation. At this time, the coordinates could no longer serve as a guide, and he had to explore by himself. The cold bronze walls are covered with vine-like plants that cannot be named. Chu Han observed that this man-made building seemed to have been built inside the mountain, and then it was split in two by some extraordinary force from the top of the mountain. Even the cut marks were so neat. Who can do such a thing? Shen Shang or Erlang Shen? In this world, there will be no gods. Chu Han looked at the huge mountain. The entire section was at least several thousand meters long and wide. He couldn't help feeling a little scared. Chu Han let out a breath, and then walked towards one of the passages. On the bronze walls, in addition to vine-like plants, there are also murals painted with unknown materials, which are still well preserved after soaking in water. Chu Han walked and watched, unable to distinguish the style and meaning of the murals. He didn't know much about archaeology, but he always felt that these didn't look like things on Blue Star. Even in his previous life on Earth, he had never seen it before. The passage was so deep that you couldn't see the end at a glance. Chu Han stopped studying those murals and walked forward at a faster speed. The seawater was icy cold, and Chu Han continued to release the blue sea tide. The spreading waves hit the bronze wall, making a piercing buzzing sound, which traveled deep into the passage, and was bounced back again. This building is probably thousands of years old. Chu Han began to think about whether Yamada no Orochi had anything to do with this thing. Also, where is the flower demon on the other side? Just as he was thinking, he suddenly noticed a ray of light appearing 100 meters ahead. Like lights? Chu Han froze. Is there anyone in this ghost place? Immediately he shook his head. Isn't this nonsense? I came along the coordinates of the Ishikawa star, and only some people are normal. After approaching the bright light, Chu Han walked slowly along the stone wall. Not long after, he walked to the end of the passage, and what appeared in front of him was a metal room with a large space. Huge incandescent lamps embedded in the dome illuminated the entire room. Moreover, the room seems to have some kind of power blessing, which isolates the seawater, and there is an obvious boundary layer between air and water at the connection with the channel. Chu Han secretly observed that there were many small compartments in the huge room, all of which were brightly lit, but no one could be seen. On the other side of the room, there is a cruise ship parked there, and the outside is wrapped with a layer of light film, which seems to have some protective effect. Just as Chu Han was hesitating whether to go in, suddenly there was a tremor in the passage. The scarlet warning lights flickered frantically, releasing danger signals. At the same time, from nowhere, a cry sounded. The intruder is found. The intruder is found. Chu Han turned around, and a dozen figures appeared behind him, obviously coming towards him. Kill it! Kill it! The leader shouted, and at the same time threw out a thick lightning pillar. The thunder has a powerful bonus in the water, and the thunder pillar explodes instantly, illuminating the passage, and at the same time smashes towards Chu Han. At that moment, Chu Han saw the other party clearly. It was the Sakura man's costume. Boom! The thunder pillar came in a flash. Chu Han didn't dodge it, and caught it with his body. -0 a series of -0s rose, but Chu Han did not suffer any damage. The thunder light flowed on his body surface, gathered on his right hand, and condensed into a palm-sized silver-white ball of light, exuding a mysterious aura. Chu Han smiled. This skill is pretty easy to use, but I don't know how it hurts. Thinking of this, he pushed forward with his right hand, and the ball of light spun out, distorting the seawater. Bang bang bang. -173,578 -215,786 -198,813. The speed of the energy ball is not bad, knocking down the first few people in an instant. It's just that this hurts, not enough to see it all. Encounter resistance, ask for support. After being resisted by Chu Han, the other party immediately started calling for support. The front and rear flankers surrounded him, but none of them got too close to Chu Han. They kept a distance of more than 10 meters and began to throw their skills. The identity of the intruders is unknown. They do not intend to approach, and try to bombard them from a distance. Chu Han flicked the energy ball behind him, and as expected, the damage was considerable this time, and several crispy skins were killed on the spot. I have to say, although it won't cause any damage, but the skill hits the body, there is still pain. In an instant, the skills of various professions were aimed at Chu Han, and all of them were thrown at him. Hiss. It hurts. Damn it, what is the identity of the intruder? Nian Chi Flo. A few seconds later, in the room behind, more than a dozen people filed out from the compartment, like well-trained soldiers. Crisis. Crisis. Tell Ms. Ishikawa Shing. Thunderbolt Heaven's punishment. Chu Han bared his teeth. looked at the two basketball-sized energy balls in his hands, and probably understood. I don't know, all instruments and skills can detect the information. With more than a dozen skills, Chu Han resisted again. This, mirror of beginning, means that the more skills absorbed, the more powerful the energy ball will be when counter-attacking. Die. Boom. Boom. Endless volatility. Chapter 171 Bewitching the Fog Demon, dedicating his loyalty with his life. In the bronze cast room, more and more guards came to support. Chu Han stood quietly in the center of the crowd, with more than a dozen corpses scattered around him, and his body exuded a murderous aura. The guards did not dare to get closer. Every slight movement of Chu Han almost made their nerves tense and they subconsciously retreated slightly. Scanning silently, these Sakura country professionals were like ants in Chu Han's eyes. He didn't do anything again. The ant's life could be squeezed to death at any time, but there was no rush at this time. He had to wait for someone more important to appear. You actually found this place? The sweet voice was mixed with surprise. Chu Han looked back and saw that it was the cherry blossom girl in red that he saw in the ancient forest that day. She was still wearing that tight-fitting leather outfit, and her plump and round figure was ready to show off, supporting a seductive arc. Chu Han, who was an upright person, could not take his eyes away and sneered. Why, you don't want to see me? I killed your mistress and you don't want revenge? Ishikawa Zing's beautiful eyes were as bright as peach blossoms. She rolled her eyes and then smiled. Are you talking about Sanju-san? He is very good, but compared to you, he seems to be a little worse. That day in the bamboo forest, she was horrified when she saw Chu Han kill Sanzu, who had transformed into a monster. Her eyes became a little blurry when she looked at Chu Han in the dark, and a burning flame rose in her belly. Unfortunately, the situation was urgent and she could only suppress her desire. Unexpectedly, not long after, we would meet again at the bottom of the deep sea. Ishikawa Zing's pretty face was stained with a hint of crimson, and she approached Chu Han. Well, you leave here first, and I will go find you tonight, so that we can get to know each other well. Chu Han looked at her face, which was charming and bright, with flaming red lips. It was indeed full of irresistible temptation. This guy can't be like that Maekata, and he can also use charm, right? Thinking in his mind, he deliberately avoided the other person's eyes and said with a smile. Okay, you release those people captured from the Dragon Kingdom, and then tell me the location of the Yamada no Orochi, and I will find out. I will show my kindness and favor you more times. Then, he blew close to Ishikawa Hoshi's ear. I'll tell you a secret, I also have a name from Sakura country, called 7 times a night. Hearing this, Ishikawa Zing's face changed slightly. She put away her coquettish energy that charmed all living beings, and distanced herself with a cold gaze. Are you here for Yamada no Orochi? Otherwise, Chu Han shrugged, is he really here to hook up with you? What a pity. Ishikawa Hoshi suddenly seemed to be a different person. Those who try to stop Xiaolin-kun will only die. Kill him, Ishikawa Hoshi gave the order coldly. Chu Han curled his lips. Just now, he looked like a shy person who was ready for you to pick and choose, but he turned around and wanted to kill himself. Ha, woman. Chu Han looked around at the guards surrounding him with a stern look on his face. The God King is coming. The invisible chi movement spread out, and Chu Han's posture was like a god, which suddenly made everyone feel awe in their hearts. Ishikawa Hoshi also felt shaken in his heart, but he quickly suppressed it. The 8th level soul seducer is the best at controlling people's souls, so she naturally has a way to get rid of her control. However, others do not have this ability. Nearly 100 defenders followed Chu Han's will, changed their direction, and changed their attack target to Ishikawa Star. Chu Han did not take action himself. He planned to keep Ishikawa Hoshi's life temporarily to see if he could find out the whereabouts of the hostages in Yamada no Orochi from his mouth. Although this hope is relatively slim, facing his rebellious subordinates, Ishikawa Hoshi's eyes flashed with soft pink light. Like Maekata, she also has the passive of charm technique. After scanning around, Ishikawa Zing's red lips slightly opened and said charmingly, go back. As a result, the defenders surrounding Ishikawa Star walked towards Chu Han again. Chu Han sneered. The God King is coming. The guards surrounded Ishikawa again. Shi Chuangxing. Go back. The guards surrounded Chu Han again. Chu Han. The King of Gods is coming. Ishikawa Xingfan clenched his fists tightly, his facial muscles twitched unnaturally. Is it interesting? Hey. Chu Han grinned, I really don't want to kill you. Unexpectedly, Shi Chuangxing did not flirt with Chu Han anymore, but said coldly. But you must die. I will clear the way for Mr. Xiaolin's great cause. The strategy failed, and Chu Han shook his head helplessly. This woman's loyalty to Kobayashi Jiro was far beyond his imagination. From her mouth, I'm afraid I can't ask anything. That being the case, then, kill it. Purgatory natural disaster. The flames of the sky struck and erupted suddenly in the bronze room isolated from the seawater. The metal wall was roasted red by the flames, and countless wailing sounds came and went, and then fell silent. With a fire-type forbidden spell, all the guards were killed or injured, and only a few professionals with special skills were left to avoid this wave of destructive blows. Chu Han released Nirvana Thunder once again, striking at the few survivors. On the other hand, Shi Chuangxing, who was rank 8, was still forced to back again and again by the forbidden curse, taking drugs constantly, and managed to survive. At this time, she recalled the scene of Chu Han killing Sanju with one blow in the ancient forest. This kind of strength, this kind of injury, is it really something I can resist? Shi Chuangxing also understands that if the charm technique fails, her strength will be greatly reduced. Facing Chu Han, she has no chance of winning. However, Kobayashi-kun asked him to guard Yamada no Orochi's food, and entrusted him with such an important task, he must not be disappointed. A black metal bottle appeared in his hand, which was the advanced potion prepared by Kobayashi Jiro. Thinking of Sanju's transformation into a dehumanized demon after drinking it, Shi Chuangxing's eyes flickered with hesitation. Is this the only way? It's a pity that I can't accompany Xiaolin-kun to the end. Kobayashi-kun, you have to come here quickly, otherwise I might hurt the food of Yamada no Orochi when I kill the enemy. I should also turn into an ugly monster. After you come, just kill me too. This is my last loyalty. Ding! Shi Chuangxing drank the potion, and the bottle fell to the ground, making a sharp sound of metal colliding. At this time, after Chu Han cleaned up the surviving guards, he suddenly heard a dull roar, mixed with endless pain. Shi Chuangxing's face was ferocious, her body was twisted into a strange posture, and then, white mist began to seep out of her skin. Under Chu Han's gaze, within a moment, Shi Chuangxing's body was completely atomized, and then gradually swelled, floating out from the sexy red leather jacket. What the hell? Chu Han looked solemnly, looking at the white mist that continued to spread. Open black lens bracket bewitching fog demon close black lens bracket. Introduction. Good at using illusions. Just like the original Diablo Megala, it doesn't have any attributes, only a name and a brief introduction. Purgatory natural disaster. Looking at the white mist that continued to expand, Chu Han shot directly. The bewitching mist monster was roasted by the flames, not only did not dissipate, but it expanded even more rapidly. In an instant, it filled the room like a solid white fog. Before Chu Han had time to react, he found himself surrounded by white mist. Chapter 172 Illusionary Realm. Aid from the flower demon from the other side. Illusionary Realm. Bewitching fog demon to use his body as a prison and turn it into an illusion. After activating Bai Zi's hard to check, Chu Han got this line of information. Prison yourself. He turned around and looked around. Did this guy turn himself into an illusion and trap me? At this time, Chu Han felt that the place where his feet stepped was soft, without the metallic touch before. Bihai Chaosheng. The wave swept away, and the violent water-type curse was instantly swallowed by the white mist without causing any ripples. It cannot be lifted, this is not a control skill. Chu Han thought carefully. This monster used its body as a cage to trap me, so I am now in its body. Then how to solve it? Haunting dance. The wind-type forbidden spell broke out, and the gust of wind blew up, and the white mist was rolled up, but it couldn't be blown away like a sticky paste. Neither. Chu Han raised his right hand. Although the white mist was close to his eyes, he stretched out his hand to grab it, but he couldn't touch anything. It takes itself as a prison, so this so-called illusion is not an illusion, but a real existence. It must still be in the room just now. The white mist can only block the line of sight, as long as you find the passage where you came. Maybe you can find a way to get out from there. While analyzing, Chu Han closed his eyes and recalled where he stood just now. After a while, he turned his body 90 degrees to the right and opened his eyes again. Directly ahead at this time is the metal passage that came in. Chu Han had never been in the room, so he didn't know what was going on in the room. Right now, he had no other choice but to retreat to the passageway. Taking a deep breath, Chu Han started to walk on the white mist with one deep step and one shallow step. About 20 steps away, a sense of coolness rushed over. Icy and biting are unique qualities of the depths of the sea. Chu Han can confirm that right now in front of him is the metal channel opening that keeps the seawater out. I have found the right direction, but how can I get out? He tried to continue walking, and the white mist was like elastic cotton, softly pushing him back. It's like playing an RPG game and walking to the edge of the map, and you can't get through it at all. Chu Han had a headache, and there was no means of attack in this illusion, and he hadn't even lost a drop of blood until now. It's okay for it to fight head-on with itself, so what's going on now? Does it just want to waste itself like this, starving itself to death in it? Chu Han scratched his head irritably. The forbidden spells of various elements have been tried, but they can't take effect. It is like a stone falling into the sea and being submerged in white mist. Continuing to bombard with skills is just a waste of stamina. Damn it, you forced me to be tough. Chu Han spat, cursed and began to take off his pants. He is going to use the Buddha's Wrath of the Common People incarnation as a Shira to try, maybe he can destroy the illusion from the inside. And with the lesson from last time, he also learned to be good. Before transforming, he took off his clothes so as not to get all stretched out, and then die with his bare butt after the transformation. Why didn't this happen to Zhang Yi? While undressing, Chu Han muttered. Zhang Yi also used similar skills in the previous battle with Sanju, and his body became bigger, but his clothes were intact. Is there any secret? I have to learn from him when I go back. Soon, Chu Han was naked. Putting the clothes into the backpack, Chu Han shook his arms, Buddha's wrath. Hey, what is this? Just as he was about to transform, Chu Han suddenly discovered that there seemed to be something shaking at the edge of the illusion. There was a white mist blocking his vision, and Chu Han didn't see why for a moment. He could only see a long outline clearly. Confused, Chu Han stepped closer. When I probed it, I saw clearly that it turned out to be a green vine. Moreover, this vine seems to have come in from outside the secret realm. Chu Han's heart moved. He stretched out his hand to grab the vine, and pulled it in. That's right, these vines are exactly the same as those seen in the metal tunnel. It is alive. Why would you drill into the illusion? Is it controlled by the bewitching mist demon, or does it have autonomous consciousness? With a series of questions in his mind, Chu Han checked the information directly. Worry relief vine. After the death of the flower demon on the other side, the body will turn into a plant. This is its vine. The simple introduction directly made Chu Han dumbfounded. This weird vine actually came from the flower demon of the other side, and, judging from the information, this old evil god of sequence 44 is already dead. What about my sister? I thought I could find her if I found the flower demon on the other side, but now that the flower demon is dead, will my sister also? Chu Han didn't dare to continue thinking. At this time, more vines sneaked in from outside the white mist. They sniffed around like spirit snakes, as more and more, dozens of vines surrounded Chu Han, spreading out in the illusory realm, like a green spider web. Chu Han suddenly felt like someone was spying on him, and his back felt cold. He hurriedly took out his clothes and put them on again, and at this time, those vines also began to change. Numerous green bones grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then popped away. The enchanting flowers composed of scarlet-striped petals bloomed one after another in the white space. The stamens squirmed, as if they were breathing, greedily sucking in the white mist. Chu Han rubbed his eyes in confusion, not understanding the operation of the flower vine. More vines stretched in, more demon flowers bloomed, hundreds of them breathed together, and in an instant, the vast white mist was completely absorbed by them. Chu Han looked around, and the surrounding white gradually faded, and the metallic luster reappeared. Soon, he stood in that bronze room again. It's still the familiar lighting, the well-arranged cubicles, and the cruise ship accommodated in the huge space. Chu Han looked down. The red demon flowers on the vines seemed to have completed their mission, and withered after inhaling the white mist. He looked in the direction of the vines, and sure enough, they all came from the metal passage behind him. In the college before, Chu Han had read the Manual of Evil Gods and had a certain understanding of the flower demon of the other side. This old evil god is a master at playing with illusions, so he must have certain means to decipher other people's illusions. However, why would it come to help itself? Chu Han couldn't figure it out. There wasn't any reason to explain it. This is too weird. When he was puzzled, Chu Han suddenly discovered that there was another cloud of white mist in front of him. The bewitching mist demon is not dead yet. Chu Han let go of the suspicion in his heart, and slowly walked towards the fog monster. Since Kobayashi Jiro is so loyal to you, go to hell and wait, I will send him to see you. Nirvana Thunder. After discovering the flower demon on the other side, Chu Han wasn't sure if his sister was nearby, so when he used the skill, it wasn't powerful enough to avoid accidentally injuring him. Several consecutive lightning strikes, the bewitching mist demon's body couldn't bear it at all, and it disappeared immediately. After penetrating the fog demon, the thunder dragon landed and turned into a power grid. When the second attack of the lightning-type forbidden spell took effect, there were faint exclamations from the cruise ship not far away. Chapter 173. The rescue was successful. Chu Han was seen again. Ah, it hurts. It's so crispy, it's so numb. I'm electrocuted to death. Who is discharging? The protective shield originally wrapped around the hull was broken, and screams came from inside. Chu Han was attracted to him. At the beginning, he didn't pay much attention to this submarine cruise ship. After all, there are even man-made metal buildings here, and it would not be surprising to put a cruise ship in it. But at this time, there was a human voice inside, which had to attract attention. Approaching slowly, Chu Han looked up, and saw people standing on the deck of the cruise ship and beside the fence, all of them grinning, apparently severely injured by the lightning-type forbidden curse just now. There were young people on board, and Chu Han even saw a few familiar faces. Although he couldn't name them, he definitely met them. Not surprisingly, these people were the contestants who were kidnapped from Guling Mountain. It was so easy to find. Fortunately, when they just killed the bewitching fog demon, the power of their skills was not very powerful, and the damage of the second stage of Nirvana Quanglei was not high. They only lost some blood and did not kill it. Hey, isn't that Chu Han? Suddenly, someone found Chu Han under the boat and immediately let out a loud cry. When the others heard it, they all lay down on the fence and watched Chu Han forcefully. Damn it, even Chu Han has been arrested. The favorites to win the championship have been brutally murdered. It's too scary. Can we still be saved? Wait, look, the shield seems to be broken. Can we disembark? In a word, hundreds of teenagers withdrew their gazes and looked around the hull. Sure enough, The shield that trapped them in the boat had disappeared. Saved. Everyone was overjoyed. Standing below, Chu Han couldn't hear what they were saying, so he simply jumped onto the deck made of fine steel. Not long ago, in those few battles at the Zhenwu Grand Ceremony, Chu Han's performance was astonishing, and he also attracted a large number of fans. There were quite a few Chu Han's die-hard fans here, and when they saw him appear, they immediately surrounded him with enthusiasm. These young people are outstanding figures in their respective localities. Although they are imprisoned now, they are not yet on the verge of death. They are all optimistic. Those who don't know it think they came here to chase stars. Chu Han was a little speechless, and quickly asked them about the situation when he was arrested. The answers they got were all the same. It was nothing more than being attacked on Guling Mountain when they were on orders, and then fell unconscious, and when they woke up, they were on this ship. Then after you entered the bottom of the sea, have you ever seen, or heard from those people, about Yamada no Orochi and the flower demon of the other side? Chu Han was a little unwilling to give up, and wanted to ask something more. After all, if someone can provide information, it will help him in his next actions. As a result, when Chu Han finished speaking, the other people on the boat looked at each other in blank dismay, all stunned. What? Are we at the bottom of the ocean now? Stop making trouble, aren't we on a boat? That's right. Where is the bottom of the sea? Isn't this a strange room? And there's no water here, so why is it the bottom of the sea? Scattered, falling, moonlight, piercing, passing through the clouds. There was a lot of chatter, and some people even hummed a little song, and Chu Han was so loudly quarreled. But it's right to think about it. After they were captured, they woke up on this ship. It is estimated that it is not clear how they got here. If they hadn't destroyed the protective shield from the outside, they might not have seen the metal room. Beep. At this time, the system prompt sounded. Chu Han quickly opened the panel. It was the message from Luo Dang. Luo Dang. Chu Han, what's going on over there? I'm leading people to rush there. Be careful, don't act alone. Close black lens bracket. Chu Han. It's okay, General Luo, I have found those missing people, and I will rescue them now. Close black lens bracket. Looking at these optimistic hostages, Chu Han shook his head helplessly. I just made a fuss for a while, and it is estimated that Kobayashi Jiro will soon know that he must rescue the person before he arrives. How is your condition? Is there any residual blood? Hurry up and take drugs to fill up the blood. If you trust me, I will take you out now. After thinking about it, it would be better to take them out and hand them over to General Luo. If they were allowed to go on their own and met Kobayashi Jiro on the way, 100 lives would not be enough to kill him. Okay, let's go out with you. I believe in Chu Han. He is here to save us. I will go with him. Some people with a strong desire to survive immediately expressed their attitude after Chu Han made his voice. Maybe it was the herd effect. When someone expressed their opinion, more and more people expressed their trust in Chu Han. In the end, everyone stood on the same front, willing to let Chu Han lead them home. Very good. Chu Han nodded, jumped back onto the boat, and looked around. However, there is not even a place to cover this damn place. Even those compartments have large glass windows on all sides, which can be seen from the outside. Where the hell is she going to undress? Chu Han frowned, and shouted at the top. There are all of them. Listen to my order, stand at attention. Everyone. What, don't you want to go home? Why did you suddenly start military training? Say it again. Listen to my order and stand at attention, Chu Han shouted sharply. Everyone on the deck looked at each other. Let's stand at attention, then, stand up. As a result, hundreds of people stomped their feet sparsely and stood at attention. Chu Han grinned, very good, rest. Everyone was speechless and could only cooperate. Chu Han nodded in satisfaction. Everyone has it, turn back. Looking at the soldiers, who were unwilling to obey the order, Chu Han frowned. This is the last order, execute it quickly. So people turned around slowly. Chu Han checked carefully, and after confirming that everyone's backs were facing him, he took off his clothes and stuffed them into his backpack. Wow. The instructor is so powerful. Before he could transform, Chu Han heard a voice from the boat. He looked up suddenly. I saw that the fence was full of people, and they all looked at him with shocked expressions, and gave out insincere admiration. Chu Han even found a few thin-skinned girls covering their faces and peeking through their fingers. Oh shit, Chu Han's face flushed with embarrassment after being stared at. Immediately, his 5 limbs trembled, and he shouted softly, the Buddha is angry with the common people. I caught it all, roared. Chu Han, who turned into a Shira, grabbed the bow of the ship, and pulled the whole cruise ship into the metal passage. There was enough space in the passage, and Chu Han could barely pass through with his body slightly bent. But the cruise ship he was holding was not so smooth. The mast and the cabin rubbed against the metal wall of the channel roughly, making a toothsome friction sound. Chu Han had already formed a team in advance, and as soon as he entered the sea, he began to release Bihai Chaosheng to maintain the blood volume of the whole team. At the same time, he pulled the cruise ship through the channel and straight up the Great Rift Valley. About 10 minutes later, Chu Han dragged the cruise ship to the surface of the sea, and all the 100 hostages were seen again. Is there anyone who knows how to sail a boat? Chu Han asked after surfacing. The ugly Shira had a ferocious face, and everyone on the boat was a little frightened. No one would have imagined that Chu Han, who was gentle, white and tender just now, would turn into this in the blink of an eye. Facing Chu Han's question, everyone was silent, until he asked again. Someone raised his hand hesitantly. I will. Okay. Chu Han stretched out his hand and pointed. Go straight to the west, and you will meet General Luo from the Longwu department. Go. Hearing this, someone boldly said, Chu Han, won't you go back with us? Yes, Chu Han, let's go together, this place is too dangerous. It turns out that the place just now was really on the bottom of the sea. It's really scary. Chu Han, you don't want to go back, do you? Hey. Chu Han grinned on his ugly face. You guessed right, hurry up and leave, I'll go back again. After finishing speaking, Chu Han pushed the cruise ship a certain distance, then turned around and returned to the sea again. Chapter 174 The Secret Behind the Bronze Door, the Ascension Altar of the Moon. Diving into the bottom of the sea again, Chu Han returned to the metal room under the Rift Valley with ease. Perhaps the battle just now broke some mechanisms. The protective layer at the entrance of the passage disappeared, seawater poured into the room, and the bodies of the defenders floated around. Chu Han closed his mouth and nose tightly. The physique of a professional allows him to breathe freely underwater, but he must also avoid inhaling the seawater in which corpses have been soaked. The circuits were invaded by seawater, and the lights in the room were gone, leaving only an oppressive darkness. But Chu Han was a little excited. He leaned down and searched on the floor, finally seeing the vines. The worry-free vine belonging to the flower demon of the other side has now turned gray-green and lost its vitality. All the flowers of the other side hanging on it have also withered and quickly rotted under the immersion of seawater. Obviously, after absorbing the white mist that bewitched the mist demon, these vines did not receive any benefits, but were all poisoned to death. If this is the case, then why did the flower demon from the other side of the world, whom he had never met before, save him? There is only one answer, and that is, these vines appear under the control of my sister. If there is anyone at the bottom of this sea who would worry about his own safety, then there would be no one except her. Master Yao Shungyu's divination results mentioned that Chu Shi and the flower demon on the other side have been together, and it seems that there is no problem. Not only are they together, but the sister can also control the power of the flower demon on the other side for some reason. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to save herself. Chu Han's heartbeat quickened, and he stretched out a pair of giant hands to pick up the withered vines. If your guess is correct, then by following these worry-relieving vines, you will definitely find the location of the flower demon and her sister on the other side. However, before that, Chu Han looked back at the rows of cubicles behind him. The guards all ran out of these cubicles. Kobayashi Jiro arranged for so many people to go deep into the sea, obviously not just to take care of the hostages. There must be other secrets here. In Shira form, Chu Han waved his hand and easily knocked off the alloy roofs of several compartments. In almost all the compartments, there was a set of instruments, filled with large bottles and small jars containing liquids of various weird colors. Like some kind of alchemical device. Chu Han couldn't confirm what this thing was used for until he saw a bottle of blue pills on the table in one of the compartments. Elementary magic potion. It can greatly improve attributes and last for 15 minutes. After the effect of the medicine wears off, it will enter an extremely weak state. Magic potion. Chu Han remembered that when he first met Sanju in the jungle of Guling Mountain, his weak look was obviously a symptom of the aftereffects of the drug. Getting a short-term surge in attributes at the expense of entering a weak state doesn't look like a serious medicine. This harmful thing has been confiscated. Chu Han stuffed all the small blue pills into his backpack. After searching, he looked at the alchemy devices again. The bottles and jars were filled with liquid medicine, and they were obviously still in working condition before being flooded and losing power. Placing so many instruments and personnel on the seabed would definitely not be as simple as refining elementary potions. Chu Han activated Baze's heart, and the information about the alchemy device suddenly appeared in front of him. Device. God-level elixir. Recipe. Ultimate magic potion. Status. Refining process terminated. Close black lens bracket. The ultimate potion. Chu Han recalled carefully. Sanju back then, and Ishikawa Shing just now, they became monsters because they used advanced potions. So how evil is this ultimate potion? Wouldn't it really turn someone into a demon? Chu Han's face was a little ugly. Judging from the situation here, Kobayashi Jiro should have mastered the refining formula of the ultimate potion and is preparing for mass production. If he hadn't arrived by himself, I'm afraid Jiro Kobayashi would already have an army of demons. Boom. After destroying those refining equipment, Chu Han looked around again, but found nothing else. Apart from the guards, there is no one else here. Compared to the Holy Sakura Society, these 110 people seem a bit shabby. From this point of view, Kobayashi Jiro has probably lost the support of the Holy Sakura Society. The people who remain here are all his loyal supporters. General Luo put a lot of pressure on him. Chu Han smiled. He knew that Luo Dang put pressure on Sakura country through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but he didn't expect it to be so effective. Not knowing when Jiro Kobayashi would arrive, Chu Han looked at the time and found that more than an hour had passed since he was discovered. It stands to reason that someone must have tipped off Jiro Kobayashi. He must have been troubled by some trouble since he has not been here for so long. It's best to find the flower demon on the other side before he comes. Thinking in his mind, Chu Han returned to the withered vines again, followed the direction in which they appeared, and walked into the metal passage. The passage is deeper and darker, and the alloy walls are covered with vines, like thick blood vessels. The vines extended outward infinitely. Chu Han followed the direction carefully and quickly walked out of the passage. At this time, doubts arose in Chu Han's heart. Kobayashi Jiro must have occupied this underwater building for a long time, so why are the vines of the flower demon on the other side still intact here? Could it be that Jiro Kobayashi is not interested in this sequence 44-old evil god? Of course there is no such possibility. He didn't follow the vines to search, maybe because he didn't know that the vines belonged to the flower demon on the other side, or maybe he had looked for them, but to no avail. No matter what the reason is, Chu Han will never miss the opportunity left to him. Although the vines were piled up intricately, it was not difficult to figure out the direction in which they protruded. Chu Han quickly confirmed that these vines were protruding from the metal channel in another direction. On the other side of the Rift Valley, there is a deep metal channel that extends infinitely inward. Leaning down and drilling in, the passage here is almost the same as before. It has alloy walls and a similar width. After walking forward for about 100 meters, there were more and more vines clinging to the wall. Chu Han accelerated his speed, and soon he was blocked by a giant bronze door. He stopped and looked closely at the bronze door. The mottled copper rust covered it like scars. The whole door seemed to come from ancient times, exuding a lonely and distant atmosphere. Countless vines emerged from the cracks in the bronze door. Chu Han stretched out his hand to touch it, and he could feel the delicate reliefs on the bronze door, with twists and turns, like dragons and snakes. However, at the bottom of the deep sea shrouded in darkness, he could not clearly see the original appearance of the relief. With a hard push, the giant bronze door was as heavy as a mountain. Even in Shura's extremely powerful state, it was not shaken at all. For this kind of ancient ruins, Chu Han always maintained a sense of awe and was unwilling to cause too much damage. But when he thought that his sister was probably only separated from him by this door, he didn't care much anymore. Ghost Path King Asura. One of the 6 skills unique to the Asura state, Ghost Road Asura King. After the skill was activated, Chu Han's body burst out with strong ancient energy. Open black lens bracket Moon Ascension Altar close black lens bracket feeling confused, he used Bai Zi's heart to check Shide's information. Wrapped in the vast golden light, Chu Han's body changed again. New heads grew on both sides of his neck, and 2 pairs of arms stretched out from his back. The heavy copper door soon couldn't bear it and began to make a harsh groan, followed closely by the sound of metal shattering. There is nothing special about the stone platform. From a distance, it looks like an ordinary table made of mud and stone. With the help of the faint light, Chu Han looked forward. Completing the sacrificial ceremony can directly promote the professional to 10th rank, close black lens bracket. Without the metal walls, it was like entering the mountain. The surrounding rocks emitted a purple-blue light, barely providing some sightlines. Boom. Chu Han was slightly confused. Could it be that the giant bronze door protected this stone platform? Chu Han took a step forward and stepped on the door. What appeared in front of him was a space that looked like a cave. There was no danger, and there was nothing suspected of being a flower demon on the other side. Apart from the stone platform, there seemed to be nothing else here. He lowered his head and roared, and then mysterious lines lit up on his body, and brilliant Buddha light soared into the sky. There is nothing else in the small cave, except for a circular stone platform in the center. 3 heads and 6 arms, this is the true face of King Asura. Chu Han remained vigilant and cautious and first observed the situation in the cave, but found nothing. After transforming, Chu Han leaned forward, with 6 palms tightly pressed against the giant bronze door, muscles knotted on his arms, and blue veins bulged. The power from the demon god exploded. Finally, the giant door collapsed, stirring up undercurrents in the deep depths of the ocean floor. Chapter 175 To Town, Kobayashi Jiro's Real Purpose. Cherry Blossom Country, a harbor in full bloom. As one of the largest piers in Sakura Country, it is named Blooming Harbor because it is built in the shape of petals. There is a small town next to the pier, named Heshang Town. Many years ago, the Sakura Kingdom was invaded by the Snow Maiden, the old evil god of Sequence 37, who almost destroyed the country. Among them, Heshang Town was the most severely affected. If Long Haochang, the frontier marshal of the Dragon Kingdom, hadn't helped to wipe out the evil gods of the past, I'm afraid there would be no survivors in the entire town. Although Yinghua Kingdom tried its best to cover up this period of history in the education of future generations, and even portrayed that disaster as a conspiracy by Dragon Kingdom, the residents of Heshang Town, who experienced the disaster and redemption firsthand, firmly remembered that man. To this day, the statue of Long Haochang is still enshrined in the shrine in the central square of Heshang Town. Later, Long Haochang passed away due to illness, and every anniversary of his death, Heshang Town would hold a grand sacrificial ceremony, which never stopped. Undoubtedly, this move was strongly opposed and rejected by the Cherry Blossom Country. As time passed, Blooming Harbor became more and more deserted. Unless there is no other choice, no national ship will sail and call here. The direction facing the wharf is the main street of Heshang town. The originally densely populated merchants are gone, and the quietness is scary. As the sun gradually set in the west, a young man walked slowly, and the setting sun pulled his figure into the elder. Kobayashi Jiro walked on the street, holding the village head in his hand, expressionless. He walked evenly and unhurriedly, until he came to an alley, and then he stopped firmly. In the shadows inside the alley, a young girl covered her mouth with both hands, tears welling up in her eyes, not daring to make a sound. She is a high school student who has just graduated, and has awakened to a career in life pastry chef. Although she has no fighting power, in this small town with a slow pace of life occupations are more popular, so she is also very satisfied with her occupation. Originally, it was cloudy and rainy today, and also you slept in for half the morning, and then went to the master's shop to practice pastry making. But as soon as she opened the store door, she saw a mess in the house. The master was lying on his back on the ground, the rice flour was mixed with blood, which was smeared on his pale face, and his death was very tragic. Asoyo screamed in surprise, and then saw in the room a demon-like boy who was grabbing the master's son and pushing him into a black-purple space. Like Asoyo, he is a graduate who has just changed his job, and he is a combat-oriented occupation. But when he faced that young man, he seemed to have forgotten about it, and he didn't even have the thought of resisting. He was as honest as a chick, letting him do whatever he wanted. The black hole swallowed people and then disappeared. The next moment, the demon boy turned his gaze to Asoyu, who was standing at the door. As if falling into an ice cave, Asoyo only felt cold all over, and the desire to survive exploded in her mind, prompting her to step back, and then ran out like crazy. At this time, she finally understood that the desolation on the street was not caused by the gloomy weather. It is very likely that everyone in the town was killed by that demon boy just like the master. Asoyo didn't dare to stop, didn't dare to look back, and had no time to think about why Heshang town was slaughtered. She just wants to survive now. Unprecedented energy erupted from his body, and he ran to the edge of the street in one breath, until his strength was exhausted, also dodged and hid in a narrow alley, trying to escape. I am just a fresh graduate, and my awakened career is also in the life department, so I will not pose a threat to anyone. Why are they killing me? They have no reason to kill me. I will survive. I will survive. Asoyu tried to comfort herself. She covered her mouth, her throat was stinging from her heavy breathing, and her full chest kept rising and falling. Despair. The sound of footsteps fell on his ears, and Asoyu's body froze instantly. Fear and despair overflowed from his dilated pupils. Why do you want to run? I just ask you for a favor, it won't be too embarrassing. Kobayashi Jiro's voice came. His tone was extremely gentle, as if he was coaxing his beloved woman to sleep. But Asoyo heard it in his ears, but it was like a god of death whispering. A black and purple round hole appeared, and Yu Aso's tears burst even more. Just now, the master's son was pushed into it, and he didn't know whether he was going to die or not. She still covered her mouth with her stiff hands, swallowing all the crying into her stomach, almost suffocating. A white and slender hand stretched out, patted Asoyu's shoulder, and then pushed her forward, pushing her into the star cave. 100, that's enough. You have this honor and can sacrifice your life in exchange for Shao Nai. It's a blessing in life. Putting away the star hole, Kobayashi Jiro looked up. From the dock, he saw the sea area between the Dragon Kingdom and the sea. Haha, stupid Dragon Kingdom people, stupid Sakura Club. Do you really think that I arrested so many people just to wake up that beast Yamada no Orochi? Stop underestimating people. How can my ambitions be beyond the imagination of you humble ants? Shao Nai, you have to wait for me. After I ascend 10 revolutions, I can resurrect you and share this world with you. Seabed. Chu Han looked at the stone platform in front of him. Below its basic introduction, there are several other pieces of information, which are the restrictions on using this altar. 1. Users must reach rank 9. 2. The sacrificer must be a professional under 20 years old. 3. The altar can only be activated on the night of the moon every 12 years. Sacrifice. Chu Han looked at the information introduction of the altar, and there seemed to be a guess in his heart, which gradually became clear. Kobayashi Jiro arrested 100 Dragon Kingdom professionals, not at all to wake up Yamada no Orochi, but to use this altar to ascend to 10 ranks. The night of the moon is the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival. The Moon Ascension altar is opened every 12 years. If you guessed correctly, it should be available for this year's Mid-Autumn Festival. This can also explain why Kobayashi Jiro has arrested people here, but has not awakened Yamada no Orochi for a long time. Because those so-called foods are actually the sacrifices that Kobayashi Jiro used to activate the altar. He will wait until the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, soaring in place here, stepping into the realm of 10 revolutions. You know, since the beginning of the era of job transfer for all people, no one has reached that level. If Kobayashi Jiro really did it, with his conscience-stricken temperament, he probably wouldn't be able to do anything human. Smash it first and then talk. Chu Han roared, his arms shook, his 2 giant claws clenched into fists, and he smashed down hard. Boom. There was no protective magic circle as imagined, and the altar of ascension of the moon was directly smashed to pieces by Chu Han, smashing into a pile of rotten stones. Chu Han was a little surprised. After careful inspection, the altar was indeed rotten. The altar was destroyed, and Chu Han found the vines of the flower demon on the other side again. There is the flower demon of the other side here, and Jiro Kobayashi also lied about awakening Yamada no Orochi before. It seems that Yamada no Orochi is really here with a high probability. But where can it hide? There are only 2 passages in this metal building under the Great Rift Valley on the seabed. One side is occupied by Jiro Kobayashi for refining potions, and the other side is where the Ascension altar is hidden. There is no other place to go. While thinking, Chu Han continued to search along the vines. After some investigation, he was surprised to find that the place where the vine appeared was the place where the altar was just now. Chu Han pushed aside the gravel, and there was a square groove hidden underneath. Before Chu Han could observe carefully, it seemed as if he had touched a mechanism. The ground began to tremble, and a series of bubbles spewed out from the groove, forming a vortex. Rumble. A small stone platform slowly rises from the groove, on which a snake head is carved with an unknown material. What is this? Chu Han was puzzled, but his body was too large, so he could only lie on the ground halfway, carefully looking at the patterns on the snake carving. However, there is nothing peculiar about the pattern, and there is no secret. Chu Han was a little disappointed, but at this moment, the little snake head suddenly glowed red, and then the snake's mouth opened wide, and an irresistible suction force erupted. The seawater, gravel, and vines in the entire cave were filled with. They were all sucked into the snake's mouth. There seems to be an endless space in the snake's mouth, which can swallow everything. Even Chu Han can't resist it. The power is like a giant whale absorbing water, which is extremely majestic. Chu Han wanted to reach out and grab something, but there was nothing in the cave. When he leaned over, he was actually sucked into the mouth of a snake hundreds of times smaller than himself.